We appear to be live. And let's see, it looks like YouTube is up and running. And now we'll just wait on Amazon to go live here, which we will do right now. And there we go. We're live. So, what are we doing today? Well, we're going to be doing some video production gear unboxing today. We're not going to go into too much detail on these. I think I'll probably have live streams for each as I start doing the reviews. But I am going to do a little mini review of a USB stick. Not the most exciting thing in the world, mind you. But we needed to get more because I've been sending stuff back and forth with Jake. And I found this one from SanDisk, which is kind of neat. This is a USB-C and USB stick. And these are not uncommon. These are very common. But I figured, hey, let's do a quick little review of this because people buy these things and they may want to know what they're going to get. So we're going to do that. We also are going to unbox something in this box. This is I guess the best way to describe this one is a webcam on steroids. This is a really high-end webcam from PTZ Optics. This is under their HuddleCam brand, and it's got virtual PTZ built in. It's 4K, and it works over NDI, and it supports power over Ethernet. So it's like the full Monty here. So it's more than just a webcam, but it is sold as a webcam. And then I got in two video switchers, and this one is called the Live Pro L1. I would say this compares with the Blackmagic ATEM Mini. It costs about the same, and it has a few features that the Mini doesn't have, namely a physical T-bar, so you can do effects in a more, more analog fashion versus using digital tools. And then also it has a screen built in so you can see all your sources. So that might be kind of fun. And it looks like Comcast is up to its old tricks again here. Hopefully we'll be back up in a second. It looks like the stream has stabilized. Okay, I think we're in good shape. Yeah, we're back up and going here. So I will answer a few questions. It looks like we're failing again. Hang on, folks. This may not work today. We'll see. Yeah, we're having our streaming issues as usual. It's just another day at the office for me, everybody. So just so everyone knows what goes on with me and my live streams, I have been struggling with Comcast. I feel like a broken record on this. I have been struggling with Comcast for months, and hang on a second. I'm just looking at some of my screen here. I've been struggling with Comcast for months over what you just saw, which is that they can't maintain a reliable upstream connection for me. So the solution was to allow me to pay more money and get the Gigabit Pro service, which they have installed in the house. However, what we don't have at the moment is the actual service running yet. So I have the fiber optic cable going all the way from the street to the house and back again. But what we don't have at the moment is the actual service. So hopefully, in the very near future, that will happen. So in the meantime, my connections are always spotty. And so we'll just have to, see what happens here. So right now it looks like I'm back up, and hopefully that's where it stays. And we'll have to see what happens. Shield Profit Channel tried out the new AI upscaling on GeForce Now on the NVIDIA Shield. I need to take a look at that and see how it looks. I'll be honest with you, I haven't been all that crazy about all this upscaling stuff. I mean, I think the scaler on my TV is just fine, but I'm an old crotchety guy now, right? So I was, when the NVIDIA Shield came out, the new one, I felt like it was a decline in value because they offer less, the performance was the same, but they're trying to tell people it was a 20% bump in performance, but it really wasn't there. What they did do is they added that AI upscaling, which I guess looks okay. You know, I don't see what other people see with it. So, you know, if it's good, great, I'm happy for you. I just feel like, you know, they weren't being upfront with consumers when they said, oh, this is a 20% improvement in performance, when we saw none of that. I mean, it's a great product. It's been great for 5 years. I will buy more if I need more. I think they're awesome, but it wasn't what they were selling. So that's what got me with that one. But it looks like the stream has stabilized, so hopefully it stays where it is. And if we keep getting drop-offs, we'll cut this short. So what we're going to do today is review this little memory stick. This will probably be an extras channel thing. And what I like about this one is that it's got both USB-C and USB-A on it. I think that's cool and handy, because if you want to pop out a thing and plug it into your phone, you can do that. And we're going to do that as part of our little test, and then test out how fast it is. Typically these things are not all that fast, but they don't need to be, because they're just USB sticks. So I'm just going to get this phone set up here so we can use this with it. And I'll probably have to charge it in a little bit, but I think we have enough charge to get through here. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to unbox all these video devices. Again, we're not going to go into too much detail with these just yet, just because there's a lot to each of them, and I think each of these things will probably warrant its own live stream as we do the review shooting. So I'll probably do the Huddle Cam here first, because this is actually kind of a unique product, which again is an NDI-based webcam, which I think is totally awesome. And then these other two are little compact switchers with monitors. This one is like, you know, a switcher that can fit on the top of your camera. How about that? And they just pushed down some update, so we'll check it out. And they have varying prices. I think this one is the least expensive at $300. It's kind of a ATEM Mini, not compatible, but ATEM Mini kind of thing. So what I'll probably be doing today is shooting an unboxing video that maybe we'll put up on Sunday mornings. I want to get a feel from the viewers as to which thing they'd like to see first, and kind of go from there. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to open up the SanDisk thing here and get this guy out of his package, and we're going to review this little guy. Because you know what's funny is that people like this stuff. They really like to know about these little memory sticks and whether or not they're good, because you have so many choices when you're looking for one of these. And what this one has, let's see if I can get the camera in a little closer here. Because what this one does is, you can see it here, you've got USB-C, and then you could flip it around. Oh, it clicks, and you get USB-A. Hear that? Listen. It's like, it clicks. It's got a nice firm click to it. It's all metal. So, it's the little things that I like. And this is one of those things. So what you can do is you can copy a file to it, off your computer using USB-A, and then run it to your phone, USB-C. I just think that's cool. So we're going to do a quick one on this, and then we'll unbox all the video stuff. And then by then, my kids will probably be on their way back home. So that is what we're going to do. And I hope you all are doing well today. What I am doing right now is just setting up my PC here to do all the speed tests on it, because people want to know, how fast are these things? And I got to find my Ethernet cable here to connect up. So what we're going to do is run NDI video out of the computer so that we can share the speed test when we do it. And so what we do here is we boot the computer up. And this is my Legion, this is the Y740, which is now called the Legion 7, because they just changed the branding on these, which I think was probably a good choice for them. And I just need to log in here real quick and get that going. And I've got a little app that I run on there. I'm just going to see how this looks best. I'm going to zoom that camera in a minute. I have this little app on here from vMix that allows me to transmit the screen here over the network. It's called vMix Desktop Capture. And now that that's loaded up, if we go over to my video production system here, we can just pull the screen up, just like that. So now you can see you can see this. So as I move this window around, you can see it's, but this isn't going in via HDMI, it's going in over NDI over the network. It's pretty cool. And it works great almost every time. And one of the cameras we're looking at also transmits video in that way. And you could have it go to multiple sources. So I want to say hello to some folks who just dropped in to say hi. So we have Dennis Black, Arrow Sith, Shield Prophet, who we said hello to a minute ago. Ugnius LTU is here. Flood of Sins is here. Thomas Woodford is here. And I don't know if it's Marquez or Marcez Williams is here as well. And I'm sure more people will join us. So I'm going to zoom in the camera here a little bit just to get a good shot of the memory stick. It's tough because it's getting confused by the computer. So let's see if the overhead view might fare better. The problem here with this camera overhead is that I can only zoom in so far before it like drops out. But actually this might work. What do you think? Yeah, that's not bad. That's nice and sharp and I can demo. Yeah, that'll work. So I have this overhead camera that I set up a while ago. That works pretty nicely. Sam Fisher says, looks like the new gigabit network is doing its job. Unfortunately, no, we are not on gigabit yet. So the wire is here, the service is not. So we're still struggling on coax, and we just had one of my blips of service. So hopefully we come back or stay where we are. But at the moment, we are not yet on the new service, and hopefully we'll be there soon. Grayson Petty is here, and Anthony Bianco is here. Ian Denholm is here from New Zealand. And yeah, I'm going to definitely try to stream out at 4K. I think that's going to be kind of fun to do 4K everything, because I can. And one of the things that I'm going to do also on October 2nd, I think, is when it comes out. I'm going to try to do a stream on the new Star Wars game in VR. Maybe we'll have Smoke Monster join us for that too. That might be kind of fun. So we'll see what happens. And that was Sam Fisher that mentioned the 4K thing. Adam Louse says, I love your work and what you do. I'm glad I've been able to help you. What do you learn from me? I'd love to know what you're learning, because I cover a lot of different things. So hopefully I'm being helpful in the areas that I'm being helpful in. It sounds like I am, but I appreciate the kind words. Marcez wants to know if I looked at the Unify 10 gig switch yet. So I have not. I don't have one. We did do something on the router, which is the one I have in the closet. And then soon we're going to be getting in, actually tonight is a video about the consumer stuff. So what I did is I got two inexpensive multi-gigabit switches from QNAP, and we're going to talk about those. They're consumer oriented, but one is a managed switch, and it's got a decent feature set, and I'm using it actually upstairs right now. So that's like my uplink from down here to up there. And I haven't bought a lot of the Unify stuff. I should have bought, there is a Unify switch that, I don't know if it was Marcus who told me about this the last time, but somebody put a comment on the video about a really nice 10 gig switch from Ubiquiti that I might go with because it has more ports. So it's got four 10 gig Ethernet ports, RJ45s, but then it has like another 6 or 10 SFP plus ports on it. And that might be really ideal for my setup because the Netgear switch I'm using now I've already maxed out. So I need to add more ports, and that Unify one might be the way to go. So, and I'm running a Unify network already, so it would make sense to get that one. It's about 500 and something bucks, but I think I might get that and swap out the other one that's in there, which kills me because I just put it in. But I bought it last year. And what I did is I had bought that switch. The one I'm using right now is an unmanaged Netgear switch. And I bought that one because it was like the only game in town. And I really wanted to experiment with 10 gig Ethernet. So that was, it served its purpose. So I'll probably sell that one and pick up that Unify one because I think that'll, because actually if I buy that, it's a swap. It'll do exactly what my other one is doing. Delicious coffee. All right. So Shin here says he bought the Xiaomi Mi Air. I haven't looked at a Xiaomi laptop in a long time. I should try to get some more in. So it was a great development laptop. That was a nice laptop. It was running with a Core M processor. I haven't looked at any of those in a while. I need to check in with that. GearBest reached out to me, one of those places, and I think they have them on Amazon too. I'll see if I can get one in and do that. All right, so what we're going to do first is we're going to shoot a review. I'm going to just set up my recording thing here. We're going to shoot a review on the memory stick here first, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. This is very boring, but it's going to be something that will get some views, and that's why I do things, because I want people to watch stuff. So we're going to set that up. I know a lot of you like to watch how the proverbial sausage is made. So let's see, SanDisk USB stick. And this will likely just be an extras channel thing because it's not, maybe I'll put it on the main channel. We'll see. Sometimes it's good to have extra stuff on the main channel just to fill the week up. Occasionally I get busy and I can't do as much as I'd like, so it's good to have stuff in the hopper. So Grayson Petty prefers the Edge switch over Unify. Yeah, so they have two different kind of product lines. One is Unify and the other is Edge. And I'm kind of like locked into the other thing now, so we'll see what happens there. But Kirk Schnabel, who we interviewed about Gigabit Pro last week, he has the Edge stuff and loves it. We got a Super Chat contributor here from Richard Mendoza, sending this donation to help with the cost of the Gigabit Internet. Thank you very much. I'll cover a couple of hours of what they're charging me, but I appreciate it. He nearly fainted when I said how much it costs monthly. Yeah, it's not cheap. It's $300 a month, but it's going to help us out because I'm already thinking about all the ways we can make use of the bandwidth. Beyond just the fact that I'll have less aggravation in my life, which is worth its own weight in gold, to be honest. You know, because Jake is working remotely, I think he's going to be able to do a lot more through the VPN that I have set up. And the other thing I'm looking at is getting out to more platforms too, because there's platforms I have not been uploading to just because we just haven't had the bandwidth, which we now do. So that's what we're looking at. So I think I might, because I had talked to the float plane people a while ago, and I didn't want to not do it. It's just that I didn't have the bandwidth and the time it would take to just upload to another place. And now that's off the table. I mean, it's going to take 2 minutes to upload one of our videos versus an hour. So that's a big difference. So, but I appreciate the contribution there, Richard. Very, very much appreciated. Grayson's got Ingenious for Wi-Fi 6 and Ubiquity or other vendors for switches. I already have a router. Yeah, I got to get some Wi-Fi 6 and stuff in also. And I was just thinking about this today because my kitchen is right above me. And I do a lot in the kitchen because that's where the family is most of the time. And because we have like a big open living room kitchen thing. So like the main spot of the house upstairs is where we spend most of our time. And my Wi-Fi is AC, and the max I can push through that pipe is about 400 megabits. So I need to, that's going to be the next stage, is like how do we get the Wi-Fi faster? So that's going to be another video series we'll be doing. Grayson Petty, thank you very much for your Super Chat contribution. I think I can pay for a whole day of it now. So thank you very much, both of you, for the contributions there. $300 a month would make me go house poor. Yeah, this is really, you know, it's more of a business decision because if you look at it from the standpoint of cost for what I do. So what's my overhead? We have the overhead of electricity and all the equipment that I've had to buy and maintain, you know, but for the most part, when you have something that works, it stays working for a long time. But the overhead is two things. One piece of overhead is my time. So and I'll give you a great example. This morning, I was uploading stuff for most of the morning. And I had to upload things a couple different places. And Jake can do that sometimes. Some things I have to upload. So if I have to babysit the upload, which I have to do on one of these platforms, because if I don't catch it right when it ends, I have to do it all over again. So you know that platform is an earner for us. So we have to put stuff there. It's one of the platforms that I can make money from. And so, you know, there's a cost of time, both mine, which is time that I'm not producing video, or Jake, who I'm paying by the hour, right? So there's that balancing act. And it's not that we're going to give Jake less work to do, but if Jake can spend less time uploading a video and doing something else with the time that we're getting back that's more productive, that's a win, right? So that's when you look at, is it worth it? And what I found with this business is that every time I make an investment in efficiency, you know, spending money to make things more efficient, I end up doing better. So another example is I subscribed to Zapier to automate some of the content distribution. And that was something I used to spend a lot of time on or not doing at all. Now when I upload a video, Zapier fires off and uploads stuff all over the place for me automatically. Actually, just post links up, but it helps. And what I found of value is that putting my videos on LinkedIn doesn't get a lot of views, but everyone in my network sees that I'm active and doing stuff. And I don't have to think about it because it's just doing it. And I'm paying for that Zapier thing, but it results in productivity or efficiencies. And so that's less time that I spend promoting content. And that's an example of something that works. So those are the kinds of things that I think about. So we'll see what happens there. All right, I'll take a few more questions, then I'm going to shoot this review, and then we'll get to some unboxings. I think I need glasses because I'm leaning over more on my screen here to look at these questions. And by the way, I'm going to also work on getting the ability to put your questions up on screen through vMix here. That's my next project. So it does do that. So I can pull your messages out of chat and put them up, which will be kind of fun. Let's see. Adam enjoys my work on Plex and cord shaving. Yeah, I've got some more Plex stuff coming up. In fact, I'll be shooting a Plex video tomorrow, which will be up a little later this week on their DVR and commercial skips. That'll be a fun one. Brian watched my Action Tech Mocha review last year to get 1 gig fiber to the garage. It's been a lifesaver. Awesome. Yeah, I have to say the Mocha technology, and there's a lot of different manufacturers of Mocha. That uses your existing cable TV coax wiring to extend your network. And provided you have the right kind of splitters where you split your signal, it is almost as good as Ethernet. It is super fast. We demoed 2.5 gigs going up and down. It's great. So if you are looking to extend your network, that is the only way to go. It is that good. If you don't want to run Ethernet cable, of course. Mohammed Naji Mad Amir asks, do I store my old footage? So that's a good question, Mohammed. And actually, I don't store the raw footage. What I do store is the master file that we output when I'm done editing. And so what I do, those files are the same ones that I upload to YouTube, and that's like the highest quality output that I have. So those are H.264 files. Typically, they're about, depends on the length of the video, but a standard 15-minute review will be about 2 or 3 gigabytes, and that's what I store. So when we go to 4K, that'll be a little bit more. What I do is, and that's another thing that Jake does, is he organizes the backups. So what I do is when I finish shooting the video, I dump it into a folder, and then one of Jake's ongoing tasks is to go into that folder. He sees the video, he pulls down, we have a little script that we run in Python to pull down the video description from YouTube, all the text. Because if we ever have to rebuild the channel, I don't want to have to type everything in again, so we grab the description of the video. I can actually show you exactly what those look like. He grabs the description of the video, and he grabs the thumbnail. Usually I provide the thumbnail in that folder. And he also grabs some additional metadata. I forgot exactly what it is. Here, let me pull it up here. And we store it all by year. So I know, roughly how we would lay things out again if we had to redo it. And it also helps too because, like, for example, when we start on Float Plane, I'm probably not going to go back to 2014. I'll start maybe from the beginning of this year forward. Hopefully they'll still take me. I assume they would. They sent me the contract. I just never got around to signing it. So here, I'll show you what that folder looks like. So let me pull it up on my screen here. So this is all of the videos. So each video has like 4 things that we generate from it. And you can see, they're generally about a gig and change depending on the size of the file. And so if I start doing 4K, these will be bigger files. But I store all these on my NAS box, the Synology NAS. And then what I'm doing for backup is a couple of things. First of all, that Synology NAS is that fireproof one I reviewed a while back. So, let's hope it never happens. But if we have an incident here at the house, that thing can survive a fire. Like it can be in the middle of a fire for a half an hour. And it's also waterproof, so the drives will be likely safe there. But that's not the only thing I'm relying on. So the NAS is configured. It's a 5-drive NAS. I have it configured to support 2 drive failures. So we could lose a drive and then a second one, and I'm still okay. I back up to an external hard drive that's attached to it every night with hyper backup. And then it's also taking the videos that are stored in this YouTube backups folder all the years. And I have a lot of years back in here. So if you take a look, I've been doing this since 2010 apparently. Jeez. Have I been doing this that long? My goodness. Maybe it's like some of my older stuff in there. 2012, 2011 is when I really started doing it in earnest. What it will do is it will grab, it grabs any new file that goes into any of these YouTube backups, and it will put them into Amazon Glacier. And Glacier is super inexpensive long-term storage. If I have to get the stuff, like that's like my last resort. So if everything fails and I have no backups anywhere, Glacier is where I'll pull it from. And probably at the end of the year, I'll back up onto another external hard drive as a one-shot deal and just store it at my mom's place just to have another off-site storage. And Glacier is very inexpensive to store data with, but if you ever have to retrieve it, that's where they get you. And it looks like our stream is going to take another hit here. So I had a little yellow warning on my thing here, but it looks like we might have recovered from that. We'll see. So there we go. All right, I gotta get some work done here, folks. But let me take a few more questions, and then we will continue. Yivo Wyserski says, is it bad to say that I've got gigabit internet here in the Netherlands for 70 euros a month? Yeah, so there are parts of my state of Connecticut where I can get that speed for that price. We interviewed a guy from a company called Go NetSpeed that's offering that. Where I live, it is very expensive to offer that speed, which is why I'm paying so much. And the only company that has any infrastructure around here is Comcast. And what they did, it's funny how just the way that, when you think about the convergence of things, at the time that Comcast built out their initial fiber optic network, it was done to make the delivery of television more efficient. And they have Comcast has fiber going to these nodes, and then from the nodes, the coax cable comes out. And as the internet developed, Comcast said, we're sitting on a gold mine here. We can offer broadband internet off the same equipment, more or less. They had to do a few things differently, but they had all the infrastructure in place. So there's fiber optic all over my area, but it's owned by Comcast. They're it. So I have no choice in the matter. But the connection that I'm getting is better than your run-of-the-mill residential Comcast fiber optic connection. This is Metro Ethernet. And what that means is that I have essentially a dedicated signal going back to the head end. I don't share it with anybody. So my connection is mine. Obviously, there's shared connections in the head end. Everybody's traffic converges in there. But I'm guessing they've got some big fat pipe of fiber coming in there from some other part of the world to get everything going. So over the long term, it's going to be a very good connection. But I would have settled for that lower cost shared fiber connection. So that's how we'll roll. That's unfortunately the choice. But I'll tell you what, as expensive as it is to get, I love where I live. And I could easily move and get better stuff, but the quality of life would not be as good as what I have here in Connecticut. So I'm very happy with where I'm at. But yeah, there are places in Connecticut now that are getting a deal like that. But most places in the United States, especially in rural areas, don't. And I'm in this weird place because I am not, like if you were to drive around the immediate area, it would look rural to you, but it's actually more of a suburb. So we have the rural backyards and big yards and big 2-acre subdivisions and everything, but we're actually a little bit more developed and closer to metropolitan areas. So for me, not that I've been there in forever, but New York is a 2-hour train ride that way. Boston is a 2-hour train ride the other way. So I'm close to stuff. And then we have New Haven and Hartford not far from here either. So it works out pretty well. I want to thank Carol for your Super Chat contribution. Much appreciated. All right. So yeah, we're not gigabit yet. We are still suffering through my coax connection. And I'm just waiting for that call to say, hey, we got the switch to come down and get your service established. Let's get moving. But they haven't called yet. So hopefully soon. All right, so we're going to do a quick review of this thing. We're going to unbox some video stuff, and then I've got to get to some editing. And we're going to have a video up tonight on some low-cost, multi-gigabit consumer stuff. So there you go. All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we've got a quick one today, this little USB stick from SanDisk. These things, of course, are a dime a dozen, but what I liked about this one when I was looking for one of these things the other day is that it's both a USB-A USB stick and also a USB-C USB stick. That's too much USB, I think. Let me start this one more time. Oops. So I'm recording, by the way, I'm shooting a video in case you're wondering. So we tend to, I try to make these, when I talk about efficiency, I try to make my live streams efficient where I can stream out to all of you live and also record a video that I can use later. That's kind of the game plan here. That's how I do my thing. Because if I can double my productivity, all the better, right? Cleve Osborne wants to know, how do I generate the screenshot of my YouTube videos? I actually just take in Final Cut Pro, you can export a single frame of video, and that's how I usually do that. And then I usually put my mug on the thumbnail because that's what people told me to do. And what I do is I take the still frame of me right at the end when I'm like signing off with my smile, and I run it through a little service called remove.bg. And if you just upload a picture of somebody to that, it pulls you out of the background, then I just drop it on. I should do a video on how I build the thumbnails. It's kind of neat. So that's what I do there. Levi's been watching me from the beginning, about 6 years now. That's a long time. Pretty good stuff. Carol's asking, how much public IP do I get with the fiber connection? So I do believe I get 2 IPv4s, one on the SFP leg and the other one on the Ethernet leg. And then I have to figure out exactly how many I get, but apparently I also get a bunch of IPv6s as well. And we're starting to see Comcast rolling out IPv6. In fact, I was at a place helping out with a stream the other day, and we were actually, the entire connection was IPv6 to Zoom, from what I could tell. Pretty crazy. So that's pretty neat. Sam Fisher, when can we see a review of the next generation gaming consoles? Probably not for a while because I wasn't able to get in on one. I missed the window, and by the time I got on there, they were all gone. And I think this is one of the other things about, like, why do I look at a benign USB stick? And the reason is nobody else is reviewing USB sticks. They're all reviewing Xboxes and PlayStations. So that's my little niche. And I can't do very well with that gaming stuff. I do, obviously, gaming videos. But I do want to get the Xbox Series X because I have an Xbox One X, which I'm quite fond of, even though I don't play with it all that much. But I would like to get one of those. So we'll see what we end up with. Cameron Creekmore says, nice, glad to be here for the production. Marcez Williams says, I should do a show with my fans. We could do that. We could do a show where people can call in. You're talking like doing like a call-in show? We could do that. I have a mechanism for that, actually. That'd be kind of fun to do. And Yuvo Wiscorsi would like to see more of my workflow for the videos. Actually, you are in luck, Yuvo. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. If I am not, please comment and let me know. I have on the docket, it'll probably be next week, but I'm actually going to set up a laptop running with the exact setup that I have here on the channel, and I'll actually run through the entire start-to-finish workflow. Running with vMix, because I use vMix now for everything, and it streams, it records. I have multiple cameras going into it. It's really slick. All right, I need to get this video shot. Let's get this started here, and we will then take some more questions. I do like doing these streams, though. They're lots of fun. And by the way, you can watch this and follow me on Amazon. There's a link in the video description. And I've heard people tell me that the Amazon stream often looks better than the YouTube one. So you're always welcome to hop over there. And what I usually do on Amazon, they have a neat little feature. Below the live stream is a little carousel of the product that I'm currently talking about and the price and everything. So you can get like up to the minute stuff there. And, oh, it's pronounced like Evo. I'm spot on. Perfect. All right. Duncan Cunningham, have you missed anything? No, I've just been like rambling on for the last hour, half hour. All right. So let's get this show on the road here. Get that lined up like so. All right. Yep. There we go. Start one more time. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we've got a quick one today. I found this neat little USB stick from SanDisk that I thought I would share with you today. This one is your typical USB-A memory stick, but if you flip it around here and click it into place, you get a USB Type-C. Now there's nothing unique about this. There's probably a lot of other ones like this that are out there. Let me start one more time. I always hate it when I don't have like a good stream of consciousness. So we will start one more time. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we've got a quick one today because I picked up this little USB stick the other day that I thought you all might find of interest. This is from SanDisk. Nothing spectacular here, just your run-of-the-mill USB storage device, but it has 2 connectors. Get the words out. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we've got a quick one today because I picked up this little USB stick the other day that I thought was of interest. It's nothing spectacular. It's your typical USB 3 memory stick. I believe this one stores 128 gigabytes. Not all that expensive. But what's neat about this is that if you flip it around here, you go to a USB Type-C connector. So this could be a super fast way to transfer files from your phone to the computer and back again. And we're going to do a quick look at this and see how fast it is and how it works on Android and Windows in just a second. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that I paid for this with my own funds. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this review, nor has anyone reviewed or approved what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what this little stick is all about. All right. I think that works. Again, not the most exciting thing in the world, but what's interesting about my channel is that the things that you would think would be the most boring are the ones that do the best. Printers, in particular, do exceptionally well. So that's why we do these things, because they actually get watched. Now what we're going to do on the computer here is we're going to load up something called the Blackmagic Disk Speed Test. And what this does is it just kind of measures the sustained performance of the drive. So it's usually a nice thing to kind of run on here. And what I could do with this screen is maybe I could zoom it in a little bit just to get just that in there. Let's do that real quick. So I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'm just going to switch over to this. There's a lot of stuff on the desktop, nothing private, but I feel like it distracts people. So what I can do is kind of zoom this in a little bit, because that's all we really need to see is that on the computer screen. So it looks a little flaky, but good enough. And this is coming in over NDI, by the way, so it's getting delivered via IP to the thing. All right. Carol asks, how much do you need to reboot the recording to be perfectly recorded? It depends on my ability to get the words out. So there's some days where I just don't talk very well, and those days are harder. So sometimes I'll get like stuck on something for a good half hour or 45 minutes until I get it exactly where I want it to be. And I've contemplated like doing scripts and having teleprompters, but the problem with that is it takes time to just juggle all the technology. So I'd have to write the script and then, reset the thing. And I played around with a few different teleprompters out there, but I feel like what works for these videos is that they're not perfect and they're kind of spontaneous. So that's kind of the route that I go for. All right. So we're going to take this and plug it into the computer and run a speed test on it. And then we'll copy a file to it, and then we'll move it over to the Android phone. That's all we're doing. Nothing great crazy here, just a quick little review of a unique memory stick. 3, 2, 1. All right, so the first thing we're going to do with this is plug it into my PC here and run a quick speed test on it. This is already formatted, so it will mount itself on your computer. let's take a look now at the Blackmagic disk speed test. This is something we measure how fast a drive can be read or written to. And I'm just going to go here and select the USB drive, which is drive E, the one we just inserted. And I'm going to go to Start, and we'll see what the speeds are. So it looks like we're writing to it at about 68 megabytes per second or so, which actually isn't bad for a low-cost USB stick. As expected, the reads are always going to do a little better than the writes. So you can see there it is reading at about 145 megabytes per second. Pretty darn good. Now what I'd like to do is let this test run a little bit, and the reason is that these little memory sticks often have memory caches built in to speed up the write process. And what's nice about this test is that it often doesn't give enough time for the drive to catch up writing to the flash memory before it starts writing again. So as you can see here, we're just slightly below the 68 megabytes we had at the outset here, now writing at about 65 or so. But overall, this is a pretty good performing little USB stick from a read and write perspective. And now what I want to do is copy a file over to it and run that file to my smartphone to see how fast we can make that happen. All right, that works. So you can see this, how basic this kind of video is, right? This is why it's an extras channel thing. It's just not, there's not enough content here to like make it something for the main channel. But we'll see, maybe there's some surprise that we'll find with this. What I also want to do real quick is just plug it into the USB-C port on this laptop, just to see how it works. I'm not going to do the other test, the crystal disk mark on this, just because it's not designed for that kind of thing. Duncan says, with 30 million more people working from home, my reviews are more in demand. They have been, actually. It's been interesting. This has been a pretty good growth month, especially on the period of time, especially on the affiliate revenue. That's certainly been pretty big. Alex M. is here from Austin, Texas. Welcome. What else we got? Marces likes my videos more than Linus. Thank you. Well, you know what? The other thing I like to point out, too, is that I think the nature of independent media is such that it doesn't necessarily have to be a competition anymore, because, you know, in the past with TV, you had, you know, one thing on the air at a time, and you couldn't possibly watch the newscast on two different channels at the same time unless you taped one and then watched the other, right? But now it's a little different, and what I'm finding is that, let's say somebody's not subscribed to me, but they are subscribed to Linus or somebody else. A lot of times, if, let's say Linus looks at something that I looked at, a lot of times somebody will get the Linus review, because that's who they're subscribed to, and YouTube will probably put his review up before mine, just because they have more, you know, he will generate more views than I will ever generate. But what will happen is that as they're watching that video, mine will show up on the recommended panel on the side. So in many ways, I do better the better that Linus does, because his content is what the algorithm is doing to introduce people to mine, if that makes sense. And likewise, there are likely other creators that get introduced through me, you know, through the algorithm. So there's a real interdependency here, more so than what you would have with the traditional media. Now what I just did is I flipped it around and put the stick into the USB-C port on the other side of this laptop. You can't, it's off camera right here, but I just want to run the test again just to see if there's any difference in speed, and I don't think we'll see one. Yeah, it runs at the same speed here. So no difference no matter which port you plug it into. All right, good. So that answers that question, and we'll just talk about that. And the other thing I'm going to do now is kind of zoom out my window here, because we're going to copy a file. So we're just going to hit the reset on that, and reset this and that, and reset all. That'll just get us back to normal. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to just grab a random video file that I know I can play on, oh, this is interesting. Okay, see, remember I said there's always something interesting? So check this out. There is an APK file called the memory zone that is on the stick. And there's a, what does this do? Help you easily manage all of your photos and files. So they want you to sideload this app on there. Isn't that wild? Can you get it from the Google Play Store also? Huh. Let me see if it's on the Play Store, because that's rather intriguing. So let me grab it off of here real quick. See if it's on the, so it's called the Memory Zone. Isn't that weird, though, that they would offer that as an APK? Yeah, so you can just download it through the Play Store. I probably would suggest people do that instead. So what does that do? All right, so we have, I'm just looking through some of the chats here. Yeah, I try not to be entertaining. I don't like to entertain. The way I look at it is if you like what I do, you like it. If not, there's other people that can entertain you there. All right, so let's take a look at this memory zone. This is the memory zone. Free up space. I mean, it's kind of like one of those utilities that just does stuff. So let me see what I've allowed it to do here. Well, that's kind of useful. So you can do a backup, and it's got all my, I don't have any inappropriate pictures here, don't worry. So I got all the pictures that I tested out when we reviewed the phone on here. I'm guessing some of the videos are on here too. And then there's files. This is actually kind of handy because you could use this instead of the native Android stuff. And I would guess it's a little more trustworthy than, now what's this, delete junk files. What is that going to delete? All right, that just took me right back to, whoa, what's going on here? Let's go back to delete junk files. That's the app crashes when I try to delete the junk files. So you may not want to delete your junk files. It could also be that this is like not optimized for whatever version of, you can uninstall apps from here also. That's kind of interesting. All right, let's see how the backup works. That's cool. Maybe we'll do a little bit with this. This might actually end up being on the main channel because there's actually something to look at here. Okay, cool. I'm going to recommend, though, that people get this. No, I didn't even show you any of this. So if I go to here to Manage Apps, that's Manage Apps. If I go to Delete Junk Files, it crashes. So we don't want to do that. I think I'll show people that it crashes. I'm sure they'll fix it at some point in the future. And then, oh, I see. So if you plug in, I'm going to turn this off initially because I don't want this popping up right away. I'm going to kind of show it working just with, well, that's interesting, isn't it? See, there's always something that strikes my fancy here. All right, who else is joining us here? We've got Duncan Cunningham. We have Richard Stapleberg from South Africa. Welcome. Olan Latrell is here. I saw you on there for a second. Where'd you go? Yep, been watching my videos for a long time. Thank you. Arnold Snodgrass is here. Any recommendation for a really small mono laser printer, ultra portable, that can do A4? I haven't looked at one of these in a while, but I know HP has some small ones. I've reviewed a few. I don't think they've changed all that much, but HP's definitely got one. It's got like a top feeding thing on it. Brother makes some small ones too. So I think those are the two I would look at, HP or Brother. And I should try to get one in. I might actually have something in the back that I haven't gotten to review yet. And I'm sorry I was not showing you the phone screen earlier. Let's see what else we got here. A lot of love for Mocha today. Cameron Creekmore says, thanks to your Mocha videos, I had it going in my room for a while. It was pretty good, but the Spectrum guy messed it up. Oh, no. Yes, coax cable is very finicky, and if anything happens on your coax line, it gets messed up super easy. And that's the same can be said about your internet connection, hence the problems that we have streaming, because I'm relying on coax working properly. And I am literally the node that serves the area. I am the last stop on the node. So that's the problem here. It won't be the problem for long because I'm getting that super expensive internet connection to solve all of my problems, hopefully, and probably create new ones. All right. Yeah, so my rule of thumb, by the way, on laser printers is I love the HPs because I've been using HPs forever. I had one of those HP LaserJet 4s back in the 90s. That thing ran for like 15 years. It's a beast. So I've always had good luck with the HP lasers. And now I've got a Lexmark that I got in for review. That came in for review 7 years ago, and I'm still on the same toner cartridge. But here's the problem. I made the mistake so long story short, we got, the kids are using the Chromebooks for school. And usually the Lexmark printer shows up on the network, and you can just add it as a printer. And that morning, the Chromebook wasn't recognizing the printer, and I thought, well, I'll put the firmware update in. Now, that printer is still running with the starter cartridge from 2014. That's how long it lasted. And I print like once or twice a day. I just don't print a lot. But when I upgraded the firmware, it no longer recognized the toner cartridge. Now, it was just about out, so I was about to buy a toner cartridge for it anyhow. But it is now like dead at the moment because it doesn't recognize the toner cartridge, and I'm still waiting for the replacement to come in. So hopefully it will be there soon. Ben Forsyth, our family business has made so many successful purchase decisions based on your reviews. Awesome. Thanks for the content and congrats on sustainable self-employment for several years now. Yeah, it's been 3 years that we've been going with this. And you know what's fun, Ben, is that I used to do this for my own family's small business, and I've always been on the lookout for things that you can that you can squeeze value out of. So, for example, back in the 90s when I was working after school, I found a guy on our local BBS system that built PCs. Now, I since learned how to build my own PCs, but back then I didn't know how to do that. And I bought a bunch of computers. He became our computer guy, and whenever we needed a new computer, we had him build one, and we saved 20% off of what we would pay new. So it worked out great. So it's fun to just find value that you can extract out of those things. All right, so now we're going to go back to the computer screen. And what I'm going to do actually is pull down one of those videos. I'm just seeing if I've got any videos on this computer, but I don't. So I'm going to grab a video from that NAS device. So bear with me for 1 second. And we'll just connect up to my computer, or my NAS device. So I'm going to grab one of those backup videos that we just talked about, and we're going to put that on the desktop, and then I'm going to drag it over so you can see how fast it copies. This will be a little bit more of a real world kind of thing. So let me just I'll grab whatever works here. Let's see, let's just look at the more recent ones. So we will grab, here, let's grab this one, 1.8 gigabytes. So I'll just drop this on the desktop. Now keep an eye, by the way, on the speed of this transfer. So this is coming in on my home network over gigabit Ethernet. As you can see, it's 113 megabytes per second to transfer that. So here's the new conundrum. Because my NAS only supports gigabit Ethernet, but now I'm on a multi-gigabit Ethernet. So we got to figure out ways to extract more speed, because I know that NAS could go faster if it just had a faster network connection, right? So those are some of the things we got to play around with. Cajoling Technologies, thank you very much for your contribution. And our computer guy back in the day was named Joe. That was the guy that used to bring the stuff to us, the computer stuff to us. Okay, so let's, oh, it's RetroPie. We'll come back to that later. Move that into the trash for now. Okay. All right, so let's see where I last left off the last clip, because I've been chatting with you all and getting distracted. In right perspective, and now what I want to do is copy a file over to it and run that file to my smartphone to see how fast we can make that happen. Okay, so we are going to now jump to the desktop and just copy that file over. Okay, so here we go. Thank you for the super chat, Fast Too Furious, much appreciated. Cameron says $300 a month for a million channels and garbage internet. And Marquez Williams, thank you very much for joining the bronze level membership. Everybody's so supportive today. I really appreciate everyone's support. And by the way, what I do with the contributions that come in, those are not paying for my internet connection. That's money we put towards staff costs, because I wanted to make sure people wanted to support what I do, and the best way to support what I do is me getting help. And so when people contribute to the channel, it's not putting money in my pocket necessarily. It is helping to keep the person I have employed. So that's how we direct those funds, in case you're wondering. But I don't want people to feel pressured to contribute money. But if you want to, it is always appreciated. Okay, so we're going to grab this file here, and then what we're going to do is copy it to the stick, and then we're going to stick the stick into the phone, and then play it back on the phone. And cajoling is the fellow nutmegger. Awesome. I don't know if that is the Joe that did the computer stuff. It could be. So let me know if that is you, Joe. Your last name I will not say, in case I don't want to reveal privacy issues if you don't want to be out there in the open. Okay, so we're going to pick it up from here. Ben says, I also learned how to build a computer from me. Thanks for passing along the knowledge. Synology NAS and Ubiquiti Amplify have been the most valuable additions to their workflow. Yeah, the Synology has been great. I find new uses for it all the time. And what I've been doing a lot with the Synology now is learning Docker. I've kind of figured it out finally, and I've been running some of rather than installing apps, I've been running these apps in Docker containers, which gives you a little more flexibility, a little more isolation, and we're probably going to do a little bit more with that when the connection gets activated here. Okay, here we go. We're going to copy this file over. 3, 2, 1. All right, so what we're going to do now is copy over an archive of one of my prior review videos, and we're just going to drag it onto the E drive here, which is the USB drive, and we're just going to confirm that. And it looks like it's copying over here at around the same speed that we just got from the speed test, which is good to see some consistency, and we'll wait for that file to copy. Now, one of the things that I noticed here is that they actually have an Android APK file that you can use to install their utility app on your phone. And I'll just make that window visible there so you can see both. And this app, which is called the Memory Zone, is also available on the App Store, the Google Play Store. So that might be where you want to install that. Incidentally, it looks like we hit the end of that cache here as we were copying the file, because you can see it just dropped down to about 34 megabytes per second. But the file is there now. So you'll see some variation in speed here, especially when you have a larger file that you want to copy over. Maybe we'll copy it again here just to see what this looks like here. Let's just replace the file and copy it again, and we'll hit yes and just see when that thing drops off again. So yeah, it looks like it's already starting off on the slower side of things, and that's probably because that cache filled up. So again, you'll see pretty quick bursty kind of speed out of this thing, but like most USB sticks, once that cache is filled up, you'll likely see a speed decline. Now, that app that they're talking about here, again, is available on the Google Play Store. I would recommend probably installing it. See, this is weird. It's almost like the USB bus had some competition. So why don't we just shoot that part again, because I was kind of rambling on. Isn't that funny? It just kind of picked up steam again. And there it goes. It's dropping again. I wonder if it's if it might be reallocating cells or something. Or perhaps maybe Windows is doing something on the drive, like indexing files or something. I don't know. Let's try this again. All right. Joling says he's the Joe from my LinkedIn, so probably a different Joe. Yeah, if you're not the Joe that I was thinking about, then you're not the Joe. Because I've known the other Joe for, gosh, since 1991, 92? 91, I think, is when I first met that Joe. All right, let's start this again and see if this happens again. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to now copy a video file from my desktop to the stick over USB. And we'll see how quickly things transfer here. It's going to just ask me to confirm that. And we should see it kind of pick up steam here. What I've been noticing with this as I was copying some files over earlier is that the real world speed that you get out of this thing varies quite a bit. So we saw it initially copying files around the same speed you saw during that speed test, but now it's running a little bit slower at about 25 megs per second. But you'll see it kind of go up and down, especially when you're transferring large files. And that's some of that caching behavior that I was talking about. Sometimes you pick it up during that speed test. Other times you pick it up in real-world copying like this. But our plan here is to copy that file to the stick and then pop the stick in a phone and play the file back. Now, one other thing I noticed here when I logged into or opened up the drive on my Windows desktop here is that there's an APK file for an Android phone. This is an Android application that you can install outside of the Google Play Store if you want, called the Memory Zone. This is the SanDisk utility that they have included on the memory stick. But this is also available on the Google Play Store, and I would recommend that you install the Play Store version just so that it will update frequently and you don't create any unnecessary security issues on your phone. We'll take a look at that app once that file is done copying. Okay, now that it's done copying, let's get out my Android phone, pop it in the bottom there, and see if we can play that video file back. All right, that worked. I typically don't like to just talk make happy talk like I was doing there, but I think it's good to show people kind of the real world experience with this as well. All right, so we're going to say this is copying a file. I may just play that back real quick just to see if I'm satisfied. Yeah, we're looking at like probably a 5-minute review by the time this is done, so it might be good enough for the main channel. Hang on. Let me just pull this up real quick. I'm going to mute and play this back. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to now copy a video file from my desktop to the stick over USB, and we'll see how quickly things transfer here. It's going to just ask me to confirm that. And we should see it kind of pick up steam here. What I've been noticing with this as I was copying some files over earlier is that the real world speed that you get out of this thing varies quite a bit. So we saw it initially copying files around the same speed you saw during that speed test, but now it's running a little bit slower at about 25 megs per second. But you'll see it kind of go up and down, especially when you're transferring large files. And that's some of that caching behavior that I was talking about. Sometimes you pick it up during that speed test. Other times you pick it up in real-world copying like this. But our plan here is to copy that file to the stick and then pop the stick in a phone and play the file back. Now, one other thing I noticed here when I logged into or opened up the drive on my Windows desktop here is that there's an APK file for an Android phone. This is an Android application that you can install outside of the Google Play Store if you want, called the Memory Zone. This is the SanDisk utility that they have included on the memory stick. But this is also available on the Google Play Store, and I would recommend that you install the Play Store version just so that it will update frequently and you don't create any unnecessary security issues on your phone. We'll take a look at that app once that file is done copying. Okay, now that it's done copying, let's get out my Android phone, pop it in the bottom there, and see if we can play that video file back. All right, so now, guess what I did? I had, yeah, it looks like it's still dropping out. It looks, yeah, this is about the same behavior. So I had noticed that the speed test app was still loaded, but it wasn't running. So I just decided to copy the file again just to see if there was any change in behavior, but it was pretty much the same here. So I think, I just want to make sure I'm fairly representing it. So I think I may want to shoot that again, just without anything else that's there. So let's delete that file and just do this one more time. And you can see like the time involved, like the engagement time for one of these videos from my time perspective is that it takes a while, even for like a little product like this, to get it right. And what I was looking at as I was copying the file was, oh, is someone going to point out like that thing's running in the background? So let's just kind of do it correctly. So we're going to try it one more time, and then we'll be ready to move on. All right. So Duncan's first video that he saw of mine was the Fujitsu ScanSnap ages ago. Yeah, my process has changed a bit. I have changed, the production workflow. Certainly the studio is different. I think I've gained some experience in working more efficiently. And it's crazy when I go back to my older videos, I talk very fast. It's like a very different, it's crazy like how you evolve without even knowing it, or how you change. I don't know if I've evolved or devolved. You can tell me. But it's kind of funny how that works out. All right. Last Chicken says, this will make you smile. My NAS is an ancient Dell D630 laptop, 8 gigs of RAM with a couple of 2 terabyte hard drives. It also acts as a Plex server. Yeah, that's funny. I had a laptop running as my Plex server for a while too. They work great. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you could buy a NAS, but if you have an old laptop kicking around, they're good. They're power efficient. They're often pretty quick. The laptop I was using was this really old Sony laptop that did transcoding and everything. It was a really solid performer. It was good stuff. People have been asking for me to do a thing about building my own NAS. I might do that at some point. So we'll see what goes on there. Cajoling's, okay, so yeah, that's right. We were talking on LinkedIn. Cajoling's been trying to get Gigabit Pro at his location. And he noticed that Comcast is running a bunch of fiber. They're running a bunch of fiber in town, not for me, but just in general this week also. I noticed that as I was driving around today. All right, let's pick it up from here. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to copy a video file now from my desktop to the memory stick here, just to show you kind of a real-world file copy. And what will happen here is it will go up to about the speed we saw before on the speed test, but you will see it kind of drop off at some point. This file is just under 2 gigabytes in size. And what's interesting is that sometimes you'll see that cache issue happen on a speed test, and other times you'll see it happen in the real world, like right now. So you can see we were writing at 60-something megabytes per second for a good length of time, and then it dropped off to about 32 or 33 or so. And these drives really are not replacements for a solid-state external hard drive. They're good for copying files back and forth like this. So I wouldn't use this in an environment where you're booting an operating system or something that requires steady performance. But this is still pretty quick, I think, for a low-cost USB stick, especially if you're moving large media files around. Now, before we pop this out and go to my phone, I noticed that SanDisk actually put an APK file right here in the root directory of the USB stick. This is their Memory Zone app, and I'll show you this app in a few minutes when we boot up the phone. You can get that app, though, on the Google Play Store, and I would recommend you get it from there. And the reason is that if you install the app through the stick, you're going to have to turn off some of the security controls on your phone to get it installed. And I think it's safer to install the version from the Google Play Store. And it's kind of odd that they put an APK file on here and provided a PDF to show you how to disable those security controls as well. For people that are real tech savvy, this isn't a big deal, but I do think this creates some security issues on phones for casual users that I would not recommend they follow. So get it from the Google Play Store. It's the same app. And let's get my phone going now and see if that video file transferred correctly. All right, that'll work better. So we're going to add that to my mix here. And I'm just logging my clips here as I record stuff. So I have a little playback function in the vMix software that I use. And here, I'll show you what my screen here real quick, because I can. So I'll give you my local desktop, and I will share that real quick. So what I do here, and it's going to be a little funky because it's showing like, so what I do here is I go over to this list, and what I do with this is I keep track of all the successful clips that I've put together. And what I'm going to do is just rename this one to copying a file and Android app. And this helps Jake in addition to me because I know exactly what each clip is about. And this informs the process for the YouTube index that I create as well. So it helps Jake during editing, and we leave little markers in Final Cut Pro as we're editing. And then we copy those markers and create the index that you see on YouTube. And so this is a way of logging our clips. And what's helpful about this is that I can load these clips up, and then I scrub through them and just see where I last left off. So I know I don't like to have jump cuts. So because we ended with me here, I'm going to now pick up the next shot on the phone on camera 2 here, and that's how we're doing that. So that's vMix that I'm using there. All right, looks like I'm getting some. Oh, I installed that Game Pass app, so it's like pushing notifications about some stuff that's going in there. All right, so we're going to unlock the phone here. And I think what I'm going to do initially is just load up the Android Files app, which is right there. And this, by the way, is the Pixel 4a phone. And in full disclosure, Google sent this to the channel free of charge for me to review a while back. And it's a great little phone. I am quite happy with it. I'm just going to zoom my camera out just slightly because I want to be able to show the stick going into the phone. So we're going to just go and eject it properly, and then we'll pick it up from there. So let's go in and eject. Oops, I'm going to close out the... Okay. All right, we'll get down there. There we go. Kajilling says, man, you have this down to a science. Yeah, I'm going to actually do a video on how I do stuff. And we're going to, it's a good opportunity because Lenovo sent over a laptop. And what they've agreed to let me do is donate the laptop to the high school here. So I'm going to get this, let me show you. I'm going to get this set up on there. So I'm going to be able to demo my workflow on this laptop because the laptops can run this. And what's amazing is, like, if you look down at the very bottom, it may be hard to see on the stream, but right now my entire utilization of the system that it's running on currently is about 5%. And that's with, we have 3 1080p video sources coming in via HDMI. We've got the NDI from the computer. We've got the desktop capture here. All of that, plus the stream and recording, we're using less than 5%, essentially, of the available system resources on this desktop. And if I were to plug it into the laptop that's on the desk here and have it do everything, it might use about 20% of the laptop's resources, just to give you an idea as to how powerful hardware has become. So this laptop they sent for the high school is going to be great. They can run a 4-camera shoot off of it. They've been doing a lot of sport. They haven't done it this year because of the COVID stuff, but they will be doing more of that. So we're going to get it set up. It would be a good opportunity to show my workflow, and then we're going to donate the laptop to the school. So that's going to be kind of a fun process. All right. And yeah, Mars says that'll be part of that, that video. I actually did a live stream as I built my production computer. So it's really really what it is it's a gaming PC. If you have a gaming PC with an NVIDIA GPU, you can run vMix and do exactly what I'm doing. It's that easy, not easy, but it's that easy to get set up. And so for this one, I have a Blackmagic HDMI capture board. It's got 4 HDMI ports on it. It's the DeckLink 4X or something. And it can actually take in 4K 60 on each of those 4. It's a PCI Express card. And I've got 3 cameras that all do 4K 30. So that'll be part of what we switch over to. Chicken wants to know what phone. This is the Pixel 4a. This just came out. This is a mid-range phone. If you go into my Amazon link, you'll see it on the screen right now. This is a very reasonably priced phone. It has an OLED display on it. I think it's a great phone. I mean, the display is beautiful on it. It's super bright. It's got a good camera. The video recording is not the best on this, like compared to some other phones, but it can still do 4K at 30. It looks fine. It's just, it's just not the 60 that you get on some of the more flagship phones. But the photo quality is great. The phone itself is really nice. It's got a fingerprint reader here on the back. And if you don't want to break the bank, $350 unlocked. I think it's a good deal. DeckLink Quad, that's what Cajoling has. Yep, it is awesome. What's nice about the DeckLink card is that it just works. Like, I just installed it and put the driver in, and vMix saw it, and it just works. I have not had not even a single blip out of that card. It's been perfect. It's as good as my TriCaster. It's amazing. So it's been really good. Fast 2 Furious says it looks 10 times more complicated than OBS. Yeah, so it looks that way. And so what's funny is I was so resistant to try it because it looks so daunting. But once you get the concept, it'll click. And it'll make a lot more sense once you get the concept down. So it's really slick. But yeah, this is no longer on the TriCaster, Duncan. I used to use the TriCaster, but I switched from it to this, and I'll talk about why I did. Mostly for cost, but also a little bit of workflow was involved. It was part of it. All right. So let's get this thing installed here. Fast and Furious says OLED screen on a $300 phone. Yeah, $349 OLED. I'm telling you, it's great. It is a great phone. The last version also, the Pixel 3a, had an OLED too. But this one, it just looks more modern. It's, you know, edge to edge. They have the camera punched out here on the corner. All right, so let's plug it in. 3, 2, 1. All right, so now we're going to plug in the stick here with its USB-C port into the Pixel 4a phone that, in full disclosure, came in free of charge from Google a little while back. And now that we plugged that in, it's asking me if I want to connect it. We're going to say yes. And what it just did here is, actually, I'm going to stop this because I don't want it to load that up right away. Let me unplug this real quick. And I think it's going to do this now every time. Let me just make sure. That's okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reinstall that app in a minute, because I just want to show the native behavior before we go into anything else. So let's go back up to here, and we're going to go to Files. Okay. And by the way, the one thing this phone doesn't support is wireless charging. So if that's important to you, you're not going to get it on this one. But other than that, I think it's, for the money, it's a great phone. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we got our Google Pixel 4a phone out here. In full disclosure, Google sent this to the channel free of charge to review a little while back. Now this has a USB-C port here at the bottom. I flipped the stick around to expose its USB-C plug. We're going to pop it right into the bottom of the phone here. And I'm going to go over to the Files app that's built into my phone. And you'll see here, once I get rid of all this stuff, you'll see here the storage device here showing up. The SanDisk 3.2 Gen 1 is what it says. I'm going to tap on that. And right here is the video file that we loaded up on there a little bit earlier. And if I tap on that, as you can see here, it is playing back off the memory stick through the USB-C port. So we were able to successfully copy a file from the computer with the USB-A to the USB stick here, and then flip it around and plug it into a phone and play that file back. Pretty cool stuff. I do want to show you, though, that Memory Zone application before we close out. So let's boot that up and have a look. All right, I think that went okay. I'm debating whether or not I want to reshoot that, because it was a little flaky. Let's see. Let me watch it real quick, and I'll make a decision. So we'll add, this is going to be clip 4. And this would work on an iPad that has USB-C. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we got our Google Pixel 4a phone out here. In full disclosure, Google sent this to the channel free of charge to review a little while back. Now this has a USB-C port here at the bottom. I flipped the stick around to expose its USB-C plug. We're going to pop it right into the bottom of the phone here. And I'm going to go over to the Files app that's built into my phone. And you'll see here, once I get rid of all this stuff, you'll see here the storage device here showing up. The SanDisk 3.2 Gen 1 is what it says. I'm going to tap on that. And right here is the video file that we loaded up on there a little bit earlier. And if I tap on that, as you can see here, it is playing back off the memory stick through the USB-C port. So we were able to successfully copy a file from the computer with the USB-A to the USB stick here, and then flip it around and plug it into a phone and play that file back. Pretty cool stuff. I do want to show you, though, that Memory Zone application before we close out. So let's boot that up and have a look. All right, so now Flood of Sins asks, would you rather have today's mid-range phone or last year's high-end phone if both were the same price? That is always the question. And you know what's funny is whenever I do one of those reviews, people will say, well, why not just buy a used whatever from last year? And you can, but I review new stuff because sometimes people want to buy something new. And I think there's some advantages. If you buy it new, you get the warranty. You know, there's some reasons that you might want to consider that. I often also suggest, though, that people look at refurbished items because a lot of times you get the new warranty at a used price, and that often works pretty well for people. All right, let's, yeah, phones are impossible because the specs are still, like, they haven't hit their crescendo like the PC stuff did. And I think what's been funny about watching the launch of the new NVIDIA cards is that we've seen such incremental performance gains from NVIDIA over the last 4 years that suddenly, like, to have a big jump in performance is a bit jarring for people. So that 2080 Ti I bought a few months back now which was wicked expensive, is now, you know, the performance of a $500 card. You know, it's how it goes. It's how it used to be. I mean, you used to buy a computer and like 6 months later you were, you know, you were 2 generations behind. So things have slowed down on the PC side a little bit, but not on the mobile side. And actually what's been interesting is that I think the mobile stuff is going to hit the same brick wall that the PC stuff did, because do you need a super powerful phone if you're not doing a lot of high-end activities? And this thing, I mean, this is not anywhere nearly as powerful as the Pixel 4, like the one that's above this one, or the new Pixel 5 or the iPhone or anything else. But when you're on it, it doesn't feel slow. Like it's just like it's super snappy. You know, it just feels super snappy. Like it doesn't feel slow. And that's because these apps are not, you know, are not demanding. So, all right, let's just allow access here. I'm not going to do too much with this, but I think it might be kind of fun just to show what you can do with it. 3, 2, 1. All right, so here is the Memory Zone app. And again, I recommend installing this through the Play Store and not from the file that's on the stick. It's the same app. Now, when I plug my stick into the phone, it's going to ask now if I want to open the Memory Zone app, and I have the option to have it always open the app when I install it. But this time we're just going to have it do it, but not in the future, just so I have some choices to how I want that to go. And as you can see here now, it's seeing 2 storage locations on here. You can copy files back and forth through the app, so it's a little bit easier maybe to do that. And I can start off with a file on the phone, for example, maybe one of my download folders here, and then I can have it copy to the stick, copy the items there, and you can see now it's going to copy a few things that I had in my downloads folder on the phone to the stick. So that's pretty helpful there. I'm just going to cancel that because one of those files was rather large. You have the ability here to browse the media that's on the phone, so I could copy some of my pictures and videos off the phone over to the stick. Again, you can do this on other apps as well, but it might be easier through their app. You can also browse through files on your phone like we did a second ago, or on the stick as well. And then they have some stuff in here that might be really useful. They have a backup feature where you could go through and back up your photos, music, videos, documents, and contacts to the stick. And you can do that on a scheduled basis or on a one-time basis here. So if I can select here, maybe I'll do just documents and contacts just to be quick here. I'll have to give it access to that. And I'll tell it to back up to the stick here, and it's going to do a quick backup of all of my contacts and some of those other things that I specified. And this could be a pretty quick and easy way to get a backup going. And of course, these phones typically back up to the Google Cloud, but if you want to be super safe, you can plug the stick in and just back up to it through the app here and have it do that for you. So that's pretty useful there. I'll back out of this real quick, and it's given us a whole little file browse here of what was backed up. You can do your file restoration from here as well. They have another thing here where you can manage the apps that are installed on your phone, which is maybe useful if you want another way to do that. One thing, though, that was crashing for us is that if you go over here to delete junk files, it was actually crashing when I was running it earlier, but now it appears to be working. What it's going to do is go through the phone and try to find things that it can clear out to give you a little bit more onboard space. So a couple little useful utilities here built in, but again, I would suggest you install this through the Play Store and not through the file that is on the stick. I think that's okay. All right, let's add that to my mix here. Flood of Sin says that Phil DeFranco uses the TriCaster. Yeah, a lot of people do, and actually Joe Rogan uses TriCasters also. And I have nothing against the TriCaster. I think it's great. It's just very expensive. And when I bought my TriCaster, it was kind of the only way to do my workflow because I needed something reliable that would allow me to have multiple cameras plugged in, that was designed for that purpose. What's happened though, and I think NewTek has been smart about this, is that the computer hardware has changed a lot, especially on the gaming side, and all the things and all the optimizations that they've done for gaming have found their way to video work as well, because a lot of the procedures of moving data around are very similar. I spent 2.5 minutes on that. Good Lord. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. All right, so here is the Memory Zone app, and again, I recommend installing this through the Play Store and not from the file that's on the stick. It's the same app. Now, when I plug my stick into the phone, it's going to ask now if I want to open the Memory Zone app, and I have the option to have it always open the app when I install it. But this time we're just going to have it do it, but not in the future, just so I have some choices to how I want that to go. And as you can see here now, it's seeing 2 storage locations on here. You can copy files back and forth through the app, so it's a little bit easier maybe to do that. And I can start off with a file on the phone, for example, maybe one of my download folders here, and then I can have it copy to the stick, copy the items there, and you can see now it's going to copy a few things that I had in my downloads folder on the phone to the stick. So that's pretty helpful there. I'm just going to cancel that because one of those files was rather large. You have the ability here to browse the media that's on the phone, so I could copy some of my pictures and videos off the phone over to the stick. Again, you can do this on other apps as well, but it might be easier through their app. You can also browse through files on your phone like we did a second ago, or on the stick as well. And then they have some stuff in here that might be really useful. They have a backup feature where you could go through and back up your photos, music, videos, documents, and contacts to the stick. And you can do that on a scheduled basis or on a one-time basis here. So if I can select here, maybe I'll do just documents and contacts just to be quick here. I'll have to give it access to that. And I'll tell it to back up to the stick here, and it's going to do a quick backup of all of my contacts and some of those other things that I specified. And this could be a pretty quick and easy way to get a backup going. And of course, these phones typically back up to the Google Cloud, but if you want to be super safe, you can plug the stick in and just back up to it through the app here. All right, I think that works. I just want to make sure I didn't have any wasted time on that. Londog's asking, what's the issue if you install it from the thumb drive? For the techies out there, not a big deal. But I just don't like, on the consumer side, I don't like recommending to people, if you don't have to sideload apps onto an Android phone, just because Android's changed how they've done it, so it's a little better than it used to be, but it's still, I think it's still a little tenuous to suggest to a regular consumer without a lot of knowledge as to how this stuff works to sideload apps and turn off some of the security protections that they have, because I think it's problematic, especially given all the security threats out there. And if somebody sideloads something and forgets that they had the setting enabled there, and they get phished or spear phished or whatever, they lose their job, or somebody could go out of business. And I just don't want that on my my conscience, especially if you can install it in a more secure way, which is through the Play Store. I have nothing against sideloading. I do it all the time, but I know, what I mean. Like I understand the process and what the security means on it. All right, we're going to just do a conclusion, and then we'll do some unboxings, and then I got to run. All right, so let's do this real quick. Let's get it positioned. 3, 2, 1. So that's going to do it for this quick look at the SanDisk Dual. What do they call this thing? What is the name of this? This is the SanDisk Ultra. Just looking on the package here to see if it has a name. SanDisk Ultra? Yep, SanDisk Ultra Dual Drive. 3, 2, 1. So that's going to do it for this look at the SanDisk Ultra Dual Drive. Pretty flexible little device that gives you both USB-C and USB-A connectors on the same memory stick. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. Okay, so our review video is done. I actually have enough there to make it for the main channel. I might do it. You know, people watch this stuff. They like these little doodads. And what's nice is, like, this is, let's see how much this one costs right now. So if you go over to Amazon, $21.25 for 128 gigabytes. Now, back in my day, I spent $319.95 on a 1.2 gigabyte hard drive, just to give you an idea as to what stuff used to cost back then. That is crazy. All right, so we're good there. I'm just going to shut the laptop down, and we're going to transition to unboxing mode. And I might put this video out on Sunday morning on the main channel also, because I am curious. I want to get the viewer's choice here as to which one of these three things we should review first. Now, this is going to be for video production nerds. So we're going to do a little unboxing video. And then I'm probably going to do separate live streams for each of these items. So set your notifications. Londog says, okay, it makes sense. Believe it or not, I have a classic 10-year-old dumb phone. I don't use a smartphone yet, but I like what I'm seeing here with this phone. Yeah, this, I'm telling, like, I've been recommending this phone to a lot of people because it's, first of all, it's from Google. So Google typically update, I forgot the update cycle on these. It's not as long as the Chromebooks, but I think they go, let's see what the Pixel phone updates. Let me look at that real quick. Let me put it in the shot here just so you can all see it here. Pixel phone updates. Because I forgot how many years they do the phone updates. Maybe some of you know. Updates years. I'm just doing a quick Google search on my laptop here to see. Okay, so these get updated for about 3 years, which, you know, is not bad, because a lot of phones, you buy them once and they never get updated again. And like I said, it's very reasonably priced, great camera. It works great. We were using it with the Xbox Game Pass streaming thing the other day. You know, I haven't found anything that doesn't run on these. And it's a good phone, great camera. Only a single camera though, so you don't get all the fancy stuff. But it does. Let me find my pictures here. It does though have a good, you know, because it's Google and it's got all that computational photography stuff going on. It does do a pretty decent job. Let's see if I can find one of them, of portrait mode photography. So here's a shot of my dog I took earlier. And that's with, you know, that's all computational from a single lens. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's pretty sharp. I mean, it's even got the hair down. I mean, it's, you know, it's none of these things are ever perfect, but it did a really good job here. And this is all just by looking at the image. So there's some, you know, some fuzziness here on the side. But for the most part, you know, that's the portrait mode. Isn't that good? So it's a good phone. And really, if you're out looking for a phone, why not, you know, you don't want to spend that much? Unlocked. And it doesn't have the performance that the higher end phones do, but do you really need that performance if it looks that good for the portrait mode, you know? And I'm still waiting for the performance on my iPhone 11 or whatever I have to get there. You know, I don't make use of the performance. I think if, you know, I do the 4K 60 video recording, and I've always been very happy with the quality of the 4K 60 video that comes out of that phone, which is why I own one. But the development community, in my humble opinion, has not taken advantage of the significant performance that these phones have. And I would love to see Apple, in the next iteration of this iPhone, or even this one, make it like, have like a little 12-inch MacBook dock that you just put the phone in and it becomes a Mac. Because like they have not been able to fully realize the potential of their own silicon. But they now, I believe, will, now that they're making Macs with the same chips. So that's, That's how that goes. Marquez Williams wants to know, is there a way to contact my company? Well, I am the company, but you can reach me at Lon.TV. So feel free to send me an email. Hanquick says, I think veteran, active duty, educator, and student discounts aren't mentioned enough. Yes, there are a lot of them out there, actually, and I have not mentioned that enough. I know Apple has an education store, and if you have a kid in school, you can get the educational discount, and it's usually pretty good. They give you like one a year, but you can save a couple $100 on the Apple stuff alone. So it's a good deal there. Yeah, so the other thing on the Pixel 4a phone is that I feel like I'm selling this thing, even though I just like it. It has 128 gigs of storage and I think 6 gigs of RAM, so it's pretty well equipped. And you know what's funny is that, and Apple's been very good and all the phone companies for that matter, storage is very inexpensive, but somehow it becomes like a big step up in cost when you buy these phones. So I think this is very fairly priced in that you're getting a lot of storage for what it should cost as opposed to what everyone charges. So that's my take. Handquake, thank you very much for your super chat there. Yeah, I should look around and see where those discounts are. And actually would be helpful, Handquake, especially the veteran and active duty stuff. Send me a link to some resources on that so I can point people in the direction, or maybe we'll do a video on finding those things. All right. Let's see here. Give me a minute to get set up here, and we're going to do a quick video on unboxing some video hardware. So this was kind of the point of the live stream today, but that that memory stick became more of a thing. So we're going to start, I think we'll start off with the Huddle Cam and then work our way through. So we're going to do some unboxings. So let me create a new folder for that so I can keep myself organized here. So bear with me for 1 second while I adjust my storage location. And we're going to call this Video Hardware Unboxing. Okay, so let's put that in here, and we'll save it there. All right, bear with me for 1 second, folks. Let me just get set up here. Okay. Tanya wants to know, what time is it now? It is 3:49 p.m. where I live. What time is it where you are? All right, so we're going to get that situated, and okay. All right, so we're going to record another video now with unboxings. That's what we're doing now. All right, so we're going to begin in, all right, I think you've asked that enough times here. We're going to put you in timeout for a few minutes. Okay. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for another unboxing video, and I want some feedback from all of you. I got in 3 different video production devices the other day, and we're going to take them all out of the box, and I would love to hear from you as to which one I should review first, because all of these are interesting in different ways, and we're going to get into this in just a second. I think I'm going to do the disclaimers as actually, no, I think we'll do them up front here, because they all came in. I don't think any of these are on loan, so I think I'll just do the disclaimer. Yeah, that's how we're going to do that. So bear with me here for a minute. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for another unboxing video, and I want some feedback from all of you. I got in 3 different video production devices the other day, and we're going to take them all out of the box, and I would love to hear from you as to which one I should review first, because all of these are interesting in different ways. And I think we're going to cut it at different ways. So I want to make sure I get my disclaimers in properly here. And we're going to pick it back up on me. So let me just go in and edit that real quick. And I may cut this up into smaller pieces for Amazon, so I'll probably be reiterating the. I'm just trying to think about how I'm going to do this. Yeah, we'll just roll with it. All right, so let me go and figure this out here. Maybe I'll cut it back to this first one, and I'll do the disclaimers as I roll here. Then so what I'm just trying to figure out is that a lot of times I break these videos out into separate pieces, but everything needs to have a disclaimer. So, so maybe I'll probably have to disclaim everything as we go. So let's just do it that way. All right. 3, 2, 1. Now this first item came in free of charge and full disclosure from PTZ Optics. This is called the Huddle Cam, and it's kind of a webcam on steroids, if you will. This is an NDI device, meaning that you don't connect it directly to your computer. You put it on your network, and then the video comes in over the Ethernet cable, essentially. This is an NDI HX device, and it will provide a pretty decent looking video signal. And the cool thing is that you can send it to more than one computer at a time, and it's not all that hard. Oh, this is not the right thing. Hang on a second. I got the wrong. So they're sending me 2 things, and this is the other one. So that's why it's not on the list here. This is their. This is the NDI Z-Cam. Okay, so let me reset here and get the information straight on this, because both of these things are coming, and this is the one that got here first. I thought this was the other one. So this is the NDI Z-Cam. I just want to make sure I got the right name on this one. Yeah, okay. So this one's even more interesting. So let me go back up to here real quick here. Let's see if there is one on Amazon. And we'll go through that. Yeah, so this is the PTZ Optics NDI Z-Cam. And I think this is the Gen 2 one, G2. Yeah, so I'll add this to the Amazon chat here so you can see it on screen. And what this is I think it's a 4K camera, but it outputs at 1080p. Yeah. And so you can do like kind of zooms with it. So we're going to fix this real quick because I got the wrong device. I got the right device, but I thought the other one came in first. So we're just going to fix that real quick. I'm just going to add it to the product cycle here, the product mix, so we have the right thing in the right spot. And this one has more output than the webcam version does. So there's one of these that's a webcam, and this which kind of works the same way. But this one is a little different than that. Okay, so let's put this out over here. All right, so let's pick this back up again. And we're going to start off with this one. So this is the Z-Cam. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Now this first item is a camera from PTZ Optics, and in full disclosure, they sent this to the channel free of charge. This is their Z-Cam Gen 2. And this is an NDI camera, which means it can send its video signal out over the network. You have a little guide here to help you get set up and operating. And again, we're going to have a full review of this soon, so we'll go into more detail on it. But this is the camera itself. And what this does is it offers a 4K sensor, but 1080p output. And so what that lets you do is kind of use it as a virtual PTZ. You can zoom in on different parts of the image, but the camera itself doesn't move unless you put it on something that does. but there are a lot of ports here on the back to play with. Now what you've got is the NDI output, and that will of course give you whatever you're zoomed in on or whatever else you're pointing the camera at, and that'll come in again over your network, and you have to have something that can accept NDI video. I use vMix, which works great with NDI. You can use OBS, you can use TriCasters. It's a pretty universal format at this point and very, very flexible. What's nice about this is that you can bring the NDI video into more than one thing at a time because, again, it's just out on your network and available. This uses the HX format, which is a compressed video signal, but it still looks great. I use a lot of HX stuff across my network, and I have not had too many problems with it. Now, there are two SDI outputs on this one. My understanding is that one of these SDI outputs is the static full-frame image, and the other one will be what you're zooming in on digitally. And we'll try all of that out in the full review to get a feel for how all of this stuff works. I believe this also works over PoE, so you should be able to power it just with the Ethernet connection, and that's something that we will also look at in the full review. But you do, of course, get a power adapter in the box if you prefer to plug it in directly. So we'll have more on this very soon. Feels pretty solid like all the other PTZ optics products are. You can mount it upside down or right side up. The choice is yours. You've got mounting ports here for tripod screws, so you can pretty much position this thing any which way you want. So we'll be having some fun with this one very shortly. Let me know if you want to see this one first in the comment section. All right, so we'll add that to the mix. So this is the PTZ Optics Zcam. Okay. All right. Check that out real quick. So let me all know as you're watching what you think of what I'm doing here. 3, 2, 1. Now this first item is a camera from PTZ Optics, and in full disclosure, they sent this to the channel free of charge. This is their Zcam Gen 2, and this is an NDI camera, which means it can send its video signal out over the network. You have a little guide here to help you get set up and operating. Again, we're going to have a full review of this soon, so we'll go into more detail on it. But this is the camera itself. And what this does is it offers a 4K sensor, but 1080p output. And so what that lets you do is kind of use it as a virtual PTZ. You can zoom in on different parts of the image, but the camera itself doesn't move unless you put it on something that does. But there are a lot of ports here on the back to play with. Now what you've got is the NDI output, and that will of course give you whatever you're zoomed in on or whatever else you're pointing the camera at, and that'll come in again over your network, and you have to have something that can accept NDI video. I use vMix, which works great with NDI. You can use OBS, you can use TriCasters. It's a pretty universal format at this point and very, very flexible. What's nice about this is that you can bring the NDI video into more than one thing at a time because, again, it's just out on your network and available. This uses the HX format, which is a compressed video signal, but it still looks great. I use a lot of HX stuff across my network, and I have not had too many problems with it. Now, there are two SDI outputs on this one. My understanding is that one of these SDI outputs is the static full-frame image, and the other one will be what you're zooming in on digitally. And we'll try all of that out in the full review to get a feel for how all of this stuff works. I believe this also works over PoE, so you should be able to power it just with the Ethernet connection, and that's something that we will also look at in the full review. But you do, of course, get a power adapter in the box if you prefer to plug it in directly. So we'll have more on this very soon. Feels pretty solid like all the other PTZ optics products are. You can mount it upside down or right side up. The choice is yours. You've got mounting ports here for tripod screws, so you can pretty much position this thing any which way you want. So we'll be having some fun with this one very shortly. Let me know if you want to see this one first in the comment section. Okay, I can live with that. So now we'll get to the other ones here. I think I'll do this Live Pro L1. That's what we'll do next. All right, let me just scroll through here. Greg M is asking, is that a wire punch-down block in the colored area? Let's take a look at that. it looks like, here, I'll pull this up on the overhead and you can take a look and tell me what that is. I think it's got a serial connection, an RS-485. So yeah, it looks like you can punch something down into that. I think that might be to wire up some control stuff to it. And it's got a little remote control back here too. I probably should have cut to that image. Maybe I'll just do some B-roll of this to have that. I'm just going to be recording some B-roll right now, so there's some extra footage. Okay. All right, I'm just going to make a quick note on my footage list here. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely going to review this one, because this is something that'll be useful to have on the channel, because I may even look at replacing the camera that's up there now with this one, if I could figure out how to mount it downward. Although if I go 4K, that might be problematic. We'll see. But I actually just got in an SDI to HDMI converter, so we can test that also. It's going to be like a great opportunity to get a bunch of stuff tested all at once. So I put this back in the box so I don't lose anything, and we'll have the manual here. And let me see, they may have some instructions as to what that, yes, so this is that's an RS-485 connector. And then I don't know what the other stuff is. But what's interesting is that it supports the same protocols that a regular PTZ camera does. So I have those controls in vMix, so I could actually program. vMix has some really cool features where you can program in virtual inputs, which will automatically adjust the camera to the right spot. So if you go in and look at, I did a weekly wrap-up video about this. We did a video about that high school graduation that we live streamed, and we had the PTZ Optics camera outside, and we had 4 different positions that we were moving between, because like the flow it was a drive-up graduation, so the flow was identical for each kid. They got out of the car, they walked to the stairs, they came up the stairs, they came back down and took a picture, so we could just hit a key. I mapped keys on the keyboard to the camera position, and so you just hit a key and it would just rotate to that position, and then you would pull it up through its virtual input. And if you selected the virtual input, it would actually move the camera to that position and then cue it up. It was cool. You can check out the thing there. So it's good stuff. Marcus says, your wife and kids must love you with all the deliveries I get. I get quite a bit of stuff here, although my wife gets a lot herself. And she's not buying like a lot of junk either. She gets we just get so much delivered these days. I also have I get most of it delivered to a secure mailbox that I have on the other side of town. So for a while I wasn't going there at all, but now I'm getting out a little bit more. All right. But what I don't do though is I don't go and pick up my Dunkin' Donuts coffee anymore like I used to. I look at it from the standpoint of risk. You know, it's like, is it worth the risk to go pick up a coffee if I don't have to? You know what I mean? And I don't even think I would get that sick from this thing. I may have already had it, but I'm just risk averse. So, Londog says, push in the striped wire green and the release is above it. I think that's how it works. I just put it back in there, but I think that's how it works there. All right, so now we're going to go on to, and let's see where I last left off on that. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the Live Pro L1. All right, so let's pick it up from here, 3, 2, 1. All right, the next item we're looking at here is the Live Pro L1. This came in free of charge from its manufacturer as well. And let's open this up and see what's inside. Now this is kind of an alternative to the Blackmagic ATEM Mini. It's priced about the same. It won't have the same level of support perhaps, but it does a lot of the same things. Now if you're not familiar with the ATEM Mini, it is an HDMI video switcher, and that's what this one is as well. This certainly doesn't feel as well built, but it is pretty heavy. And what it does is it will allow you to plug in 4 different HDMI sources and switch between them. This one will also output whatever the program signal is out its HDMI output. It's also got USB and Ethernet on here, and we'll test out all this stuff to see exactly what it does in the full review. I'll give you an overhead view of it here as well. Now, what's different about this one is that you have a physical T-bar on it. They also have a display here as well, which will show you all 4 inputs on its little screen here so you can see what's coming in. So you might be able to do a little bit more on this one, at least from the standpoint of previewing what things are coming into it. The one issue that people have with the ATEM Mini is that it doesn't have a live view to see what your inputs are looking like. This one will give you all 4 of them in a little tile box here, and we'll try that out when we do the full review. It also looks like you have some volume control here for the audio, and you can switch between different effects. Again, we'll be doing a lot more with this very shortly on the main channel, and we'll probably have a live stream as we are playing around with it. And again, this is the Live Pro L1 from FeelWorld. Oops. All right, that looked like it worked. So let me go back to, I gotta, make sure I get the right item selected here. I'm on the Amazon thing and I didn't have it front and center. So we'll select that one real quick. And this is the Live Pro L1. Okay. Yes, we're going to have a bunch of production stuff on the channel soon. It's funny how these things come in. They tend to come in groups. And I don't know if it's related to the commoditization of the components, in that maybe there's like a bunch of components that are available here, 3, 2, 1. Available in the All right, the next item we're looking at here is the Live Pro L1. This came in free of charge from its manufacturer as well. And let's open this up and see what's inside. Now, this is kind of an alternative to the Blackmagic ATEM Mini. It's priced about the same. It won't have the same level of support, perhaps, but it does a lot of the same things. Now, if you're not familiar with the ATEM Mini, it is an HDMI video switcher, and that's what this one is as well. This certainly doesn't feel as well built, but it is pretty heavy. And what it does is it will allow you to plug in 4 different HDMI sources and switch between them. This one will also output whatever the program signal is out its HDMI output. It's also got USB and Ethernet on here, and we'll test out all this stuff to see exactly what it does in the full review. I'll give you an overhead view of it here as well. Now, what's different about this one is that you have a physical T-bar on it. They also have a display here as well, which will show you all 4 inputs on its little screen here so you can see what's coming in. So you might be able to do a little bit more on this one, at least from the standpoint of previewing what things are coming into it. The one issue that people have with the ATEM Mini is that it doesn't have a live view to see what your inputs are looking like. This one will give you all 4 of them in a little tile box here, and we'll try that out when we do the full review. It also looks like you have some volume control here for the audio, and you can switch between different effects. Again, we'll be doing a lot more with this very shortly on the main channel, and we'll probably have a live stream as we are playing around with it. And again, this is the Live Pro L1 from FeelWorld. Okay. So now we'll come back to me, and we'll go from there. Okay, so next item. 3, 2, 1. Now, the next item we're going to unbox today is the YOLO Live, or actually it's called the YOLO Box. 3, 2, 1. All right, the next item to unbox here is the YOLO Box from YOLO Live, and this is a fully self-contained video switching production device that you could, if you want, mount on top of your camera. This is a little more expensive than the last one we just looked at, and again, we'll be reviewing this on the main channel here in a few days, or maybe in the next week or 2. We'll see what my schedule is looking like here. Now, this also came in free of charge from the manufacturer. And let's get this thing out of the box here. There we go. Now, my understanding is that this is kind of running on Android, So it's going to be a little more capable and, again, self-contained, so you don't necessarily need to have the computer with you to get everything going. It also has a bunch of connectivity options on it as well. It can actually do the streaming for you, by the way, in case you were curious about that. So on the top here, it looks like you've got a little tripod mount. There's an SD card slot here, so you can record onto it directly. I'll flip it around so we can get the orientation correct. It's got a SIM card here as well because it is compatible with 4G networks. So in addition to, I believe, Wi-Fi and Ethernet, Ethernet, it also can go onto a cellular network. You have an audio output here. Your power button is there. I'm pretty sure it's battery powered also. We'll see if we can get it to boot up here real quick. It kind of looks a lot like a tablet from the front. They did tell me there's a big update that they just pushed down, so we're going to have to install that before we get into the main review, which we will do. Now for inputs, this is a little more limited than some of the other ones that are out there because it only supports 2 HDMI camera inputs. So you can only switch between 2 active live sources. I do, though, believe that you can plug in a webcam into it as well, and we'll double check that again when we do the full review. Like some of the other ones, it has an HDMI output, and you've got your Ethernet going in here. And I'll just briefly jump through the setup process here and get going. We'll select my time zone here, which is going to be closest to New York. And we'll run through that real quick. I've got to register and get everything else going here, which we'll do a little bit later. But yeah, it feels a lot like a tablet, but a lot thicker with a bunch of video inputs on it. But again, we will put this one through its paces. We'll probably do a live stream as we do that so you can get a feel for exactly what it's like to get it set up and operating. So we'll do that on a separate live stream. I'm actually live streaming right now as we're doing this. Here you can see some of the things that it can support via its input. So it looks like you could get a third camera in if you had an HDMI to USB 3 adapter. So it looks like it does take a UVC camera in there. And again, a lot to this one. So this one will probably take a while to go through. Let's see what else is in the box, though, because the other ones just had power adapters. Let's see if there's any other cables or anything else in here. So, oh, wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. So let's take a look at the other things in the box. So we've got an HDMI cable. That's always good to see. We have another HDMI cable, so they give you 2 of them here. You have a little pouch to carry it with. You have a power adapter. It looks like it's got a battery on board, so it's able to run off of that. We'll figure out what the battery length is on it. This is a little USB cable, USB-C cable to charge it. And then you've got your hot shoe or cold shoe mount here that you can use to mount it on top of your camera. So lots to see on this one. Looks like there'll be a lot to unpack with it. And we'll have a full review of this coming up very shortly, again, along with some live streams as we start evaluating all of these products. Lots of stuff to look forward to here. So let me know what you want to see first down in the comments section, and that will be the one that we do first. I appreciate the feedback because it really helps us prioritize things, and it's always fun to get more relatively inexpensive video production switching gear in to play around with. And I'll see you very soon with reviews and live streams of all of this stuff. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. All right. Done. So there's 2 videos in the course of what? How long have I been streaming for? 2 hours. A productive 2 hours today, I would say. And these unboxings, believe it or not, they don't do well in the long term, but they do well in the short term. So people like them, like subscribers like to watch them. So those are always fun to do. So the Live Pro L1 is on Amazon right now for $299. So it's about $300. It costs about the same as the A10 Mini does. Patrick Chang is wondering, can I use the YOLO blocks just as a switcher and not have it live stream? Yes. Yeah, it looks like it has an HDMI output on it. So it should handle that. So yeah, you have an HDMI output right there at the top. So you could plug this into your computer. However, I would say the value proposition here is probably the fact that it can do all of the streaming for you. So if you don't need that, I think that's where the A10 Mini might be a better value because you can run that to your computer. I've been helping out some folks doing some live streaming, and they're actually streaming to Zoom, and they're using the A10 Mini as a webcam because they have a couple different camera positions that they're using, and then they just output over the A10 Mini. So that's been pretty cool. So the studio audience is pleased with everything. So we'll have to see. Yeah, let me know what you all want to see first, because I always like to get that feedback. But this one's interesting. I just like this stuff because when I was a kid doing my little cable access show, the thought that any of this stuff would exist is like mind-blowing to me. I mean, the fact that I can run this out of my basement, I can hit a button and go live in high definition to the world, that's super cool. So we'll have to see what it's got. Crayon Man wants to know, does this have the latest Wi-Fi? Let's take a look. There's actually a whole bunch of specs here on the back. So Wi-Fi, it does support AC. I don't know how many channels it has, but it does support AC. And I'm going to have to look at the bands here on the 4G to see if any of these are compatible. I'm guessing they're going to be compatible with US carriers. It says NA band, which I'm assuming is North America bands. So I'm guessing it'll work with most, but we'll double check that. Video format does 1080p, so that's good. 30 FPS though, doesn't do 60 on the recording. Ingest, I don't know if it takes 60. I'm guessing it'll take 60 and just down convert it to 30. It'll do 1080p out the broadcast, RTMP. So yeah, all good stuff there. Alberto da Silva wants to know, did I manage to look up the V-Box? I did not. And can you refresh my memory on what the V-Box is? Because I am not sure what that is. I may have forgotten about it. And if I did, I apologize. You know what I want to play with real quick here, folks, because I have a minute, is vMix Social. Let's see if we can get that to work real quick. Let's see what that does. Hopefully this doesn't knock off my stream. So, because I have enough bandwidth to run, or resources to run this off of the. Okay, so if I go and, so right now I'm just playing around with this vMix thing that I've got. So let me log into YouTube real quick and see if I can get this working here. Bear with me for 1 second, folks. I want to just try something because I think this might be kind of fun to be able to incorporate your comments in a way where I'm just not just reading everything. I can actually pull one up and display it on screen. So let's try this out real quick while I've got a few minutes because the kids are not home yet. So I can try this out real quick. So let me just grab my phone here. I just got to go and it is that's my multi-factor authentication going here. I have to log into my YouTube account, and then it links up with that, and then I can grab your chats and pull them up as a thing on screen. So let's take a look and see how that works. Okay, so now I've got that going. I can hit OK here. And now what I need to do is just create a title in my vMix thing here. And I'm going to do that real quick. Oh, there's like a whole social thing here. So I can actually pull in, there's a social ticker. I can pull in like your little icons also. That's pretty cool. So let me find one that works here that I think would look neat. I may have to play around with a few more of these things to get what I'm looking for. Let me try this one. So I'm going to hit that. And now I'm going to go back to vMix Social. Okay, oh, I found it already. Pretty cool. Okay, so then I could say trigger overlay. All right, so let me hit this real quick. All right, so I'm going to now connect. I'm sorry to be like just talking out loud. You can't see what I'm doing. But I'm going to go to a website now. It's on my server, or it's actually running on my production machine at the moment. And okay, so I've got that loaded up here. And if I go to View Queue, okay, I don't see anything in there though. So how is it that, I think I may have to connect to a different live stream chat. I wonder if it doesn't work for, or maybe I have to get new chats in. So can somebody make I'm just going to do a quick one here. All right, so I just did that. I'm just trying to see how this triggers. because it might not work with the way that I am currently streaming. That might be the issue here. Because I have it finding the right thing. Let's see. Okay, somebody else just chatted. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be pulling up. I got to play around with this a little bit more, I think. Because I have it connected. So what it's supposed to do, and I'll show you what it looks like, is what it's going to do is I can hit this button here, and it'll pull up, it'll have your picture in the little box there, and then it'll say your username and what you wrote. Isn't that cool? But I think the problem here is that it's not seeing the chats on this particular stream because I don't schedule these. I do these through the Stream Now thing. So I don't think it's picking up anything here. Let me just do another one real quick on the chat. Yeah, so that doesn't seem to work either. Oh, that's a bummer. Because I think it would be cool. I have to, so what I would have to do is schedule every one of these in order for it to work. Yeah, because I'm not seeing anything here in the queue. What's cool about it though is there's a web page that it generates that you can go in and I can pick out the chats that I want to preview, and it'll just put them up like front and center here. So what I could do though is I could find, okay, they have a Twitter thing and a Facebook thing, but not, yeah, and the YouTube one is on here. Oh wait, oh, now it sees something, hang on. It just found 70, so I think it just grabbed them. So let's see if it's working now, hang on. Let me just refresh this real quick. See, it just found 70 chats, so I'm wondering why I don't see them. All right, let me refresh this. This might actually start working. Let's let this fester for a minute here and see if it maybe starts showing up. So I'm going to refresh that. If I go to View, let's see what I get here on this screen. Yeah, so I'm not seeing any there. All right, let's try it doing it this way. So I'm going to have it refresh that, and hopefully this is. Yeah, so I'm not getting it yet. I tried this once before, like in a demo mode, but I think it, again, I think it requires that the YouTube stream be scheduled. Oh well. Maybe I'll try one more chat here and see if that makes it show up. Let's see. Do we have any more people typing? Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, this is through vMix. So vMix has a lot of neat little utilities on it. And one of them is this utility that will, yeah, see, it found 70 new entries, but it's not giving me them on the list. It's got this neat little utility called vMix Social. And what it does is it connects up with the YouTube API. And as people are chatting, it can pull down their photo, their little icon, and then what you're saying. So it's cool. vMix, the people that make vMix have what they call the Fun Time live show every month or every 2 months, and they use this a lot, and it's pretty cool how it works. But it doesn't seem to be pulling down anything, and I think it looks like our stream is going down again. So bear with me here, folks. You're going to see me start to fizzle again. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be working. I'll play around with this a little bit more. So in case you're wondering, I'll give you an update on the whole, I'm going to load this up again and see if this works again. In case you're wondering, the fiber optic is installed, but the service is not. So I don't have my fancy new connection just yet. So we're hopefully going to get there soon. And in the meantime, we're just going to have to keep struggling with this connection that I'm dealing with here. So that's what we're working with. David Shepard wants to know, am I streaming with vMix or TriCaster? I switched over to vMix from the TriCaster, actually. And I was saying before, you know, for me, it was a workflow issue, and it was a cost issue. So I bought the TriCaster Mini back in 2014. It's still on my, I gotta probably sell it. It's on my little cart here. And I was using that for a long time and very happy with it. But over the years, you know, vMix has gotten better and better and better. And two things converged. One is that the TriCaster was, you know, not nearing the end of its life necessarily, but I looked at the calendar one day and I said, oh my gosh, I got this thing 6 years ago and it's running with spinning hard drives. And I'm like, at some point those drives are going to go. And I started looking for the new TriCaster. And the new TriCaster cost more than the old one did. And although it offered a lot more in the sense that it could do 4K, it's doing all the 4K over NDI, which is not a big deal if it works, but it just adds a layer of complexity to the mix. And it cost $2,000 more than what I paid before. So I think the new TriCaster Mini, the 4K one, is like $6,000 or $7,000, pretty expensive. So I was about to go in that direction, given that it's a big part of my workflow was the TriCaster and the fact that I can shoot everything live to disk. And what happened though, yeah, this is not going to work, this vMix social thing. I'm just going to disable it for now. And I'll talk more about this in a video coming up. But what happened though, in addition to the new TriCaster being much more expensive, is that they changed some of the ways that the TriCaster operated. So the big change was that they changed the recording codec of the TriCaster. And I was paying for the advanced edition. So I bought the TriCaster 1 year, and then I paid more to upgrade it to the advanced edition. And then I paid for another upgrade, which I was happy to do because they added functionality with each of those upgrades that they offered. But what happened was they changed the codec in a software update. And there was also a show-stopping bug in how it exported video. So let me just kind of spell out the problems that we had with this. What I used to do was I would record video just like I was doing throughout this live stream, and then I would be able to copy the files off of the TriCaster over to my Mac and just start editing them. I could install the NewTek codec on the Mac, and Final Cut would see it as a native video file. Didn't have to do any rendering or optimization. It just worked like a ProRes file would work. Just drop it in and start editing. It was great. And it worked like that perfectly for a long period of time. Then, you know, I hadn't updated the TriCaster in a couple of weeks. I said, oh, I'll do the update, did the update, and it broke everything. So no longer were the video files recognized on the Mac. That was problem one. So then I said, okay, no big deal. I'll have the TriCaster convert to ProRes at the end of my production day. So, you know, added step, but I could live with it. But when I started doing those file conversions, when the file got to the Mac, it was cutting off audio randomly in like the last 4 seconds of the clip. And if I recorded longer, it would still cut me off anyhow. And it got so frustrating because we weren't sure at the end of the day whether or not the video file was going to work. And I had no way of converting these files over without using the TriCaster, and it was just getting, you know, just more and more aggravation. So I had to roll back the update, which meant that I wasn't getting my money's worth out of this thing anymore that I was paying for. I got really frustrated with it. And I couldn't believe that nobody else had the problem. So here I was like, okay, I'm about to buy a new video switcher, and I know if I upgrade to the new TriCaster, I'm going to have all these workflow problems. So why am I going to spend $7,000? Because I had to buy another NDI box, a whole bunch of other. I was like, you know what, that's just not going to work. So what I ended up doing was I took out my gaming laptop here, and I said, you know what, I'm going to try vMix because you get 90 days to play with it. So I said I could figure out whether or not in 90 days that this is going to work. So what I did is I unplugged all the cameras from the TriCaster. I plugged one in directly to the computer, and then I ran 2 cameras off of NDI. And believe it or not, I ran the channel off of this laptop for 2.5 weeks, and it all worked great. It was just seamless, flawless. Couldn't believe like how good it was working. And I said, this is going to be fine for me. And if I was in a broadcast environment, I would probably be thinking differently because, you know, TriCasters are very good for, you know, high-end broadcast work. But for me, the laptop was doing the job. And I decided that instead of buying a TriCaster, I would go out and build a computer. So we did do that on a live stream a few weeks ago. And it's, I think I can show you the computer real quick. I'll pull up my NDI camera. And I still use NewTek's NDI. I think it's a great thing because NDI works great with vMix. So what I can do here is just get my little NDI camera going here. So I'm going to add an input. I'm going to add an NDI input, and we'll add my phone. Hopefully it doesn't crash vMix when I add it. And there it goes. OK. And that's my daughter's old tablet. For some reason, it's still there. So I built this computer. And it's an i9. It's got 32 gigs of RAM on board. And then what I was able to do with it was use my old GTX 1080 GPU. And it's, you know, it's a gaming machine. So I have that. I have the DeckLink quad HDMI input on it. And then other stuff we can bring in over Ethernet. And what I did do is I installed the 10 gig Ethernet thing in there. So when we get the network upgraded fully to the new thing, we can take advantage of that. Pardon the mess, everybody. It's a little messy there. But that's the new machine, and it's working great. I mean, it actually made the workflow easier than the TriCaster in a couple of different areas. And I was very careful to just strip everything off of it, so it's like running bare bones Windows 10. They have a really great utility that helps you find the apps that cause trouble. I have two NVMe SSDs in there. I've got a boot drive, then I have a terabyte Samsung drive that I record to. And then they have a utility that will convert so I record in this vMix lossless AVI format, and they have a utility that will convert that format to ProRes, and it works great. Haven't had a problem with it. I could record the ProRes directly, but I found that was using a lot more CPU time, so I'm perfectly happy just recording native, and then when I'm done recording for the day, just convert it all to NDI, to ProRes. And it's been a great workflow. So it's working out really well. So I'm very happy with it. So we'll see if it keeps working that way. And what's cool is that I can run it on a desktop machine like this, but I could also just as easily take out a laptop for field work and run it on the laptop. And we did that for the high school graduation. Like I said, I ran the channel off of this thing. This is the my Legion Y740. I mean, it's amazing how well this works. So, and then with the NDI, you get so much flexibility. And I think NewTek was smart about this NDI thing because they're getting a cut of every vMix license sold that has the NDI software built in. And any other NDI device they're getting a cut from. I think they're going to make more off of NDI than they ever did off the TriCaster. And I think for them, it's easier to have fewer customers of the TriCaster, and vMix can take the smaller customers like me. I don't need a $20,000 broadcast thing to do what I do. So I think that's what developed out of that. So yeah, I found a workflow that works. I did not buy a TriCaster, but I've been certainly using a lot of NDI. But for my main cameras here, I'm sticking with a direct HDMI input through that DeckLink card. And that DeckLink card from Blackmagic has been spectacular. And it's going to get better because it can do the 4K 60 when the time comes. So it's good. Very, very happy with vMix. So, and by the way, vMix is also doing the streams. It supports the NVIDIA encoder. So the NVIDIA card now has, so the 1080 that I have can do 3 hardware encodings simultaneously. And you got to be careful with that because if you're doing some internal conversion or whatever, you can eat up those encoders quickly. But right now, at the moment, it is encoding the stream. If I were to record, it doesn't use the encoder because it's just dumping the output into that AVI file. So typically, I'm running on this machine, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, maybe 5 or 6% of the system resources are used for this kind of work right now. It's really minimal. And I have yet to get this thing to go beyond 20%. I think when I go 4K with everything, because I can with the new connection once it gets finished, that will eat up a little bit more on the resource side. But if I have to, I can swap out the GPU with the one I have upstairs. So we'll see how it comes together. So, and to answer Jai's question, yeah, we have the fiber installed, but we don't have the service yet. So it's all in. Comcast needs to show up with their switch, and then we're good to go. So that'll be soon, very soon, hopefully. So yeah, we're getting there. But yeah, I'm very happy with how things are working now down here. So yeah, I might rack mount the computer at some point. It's pretty quiet. It's got huge fans on it, so it doesn't make that much noise. And I use the lavalier that I use is a cardioid, which sometimes has its own trouble, but I do have some noise in this room. So the air handler over there is running right now. You probably can't hear it. Maybe you can, I don't know. So this kind of isolates a little better. And I have some foam above me just to dampen everything down. So that's what's going on there. Yeah, so it seems to be working pretty good here. Let me just go in and make sure that I'm not missing any chats on the Amazon side. Had nobody chatting on Amazon today, unfortunately. Let's see. So David Shepard loves NDI. And he also says it needs more love from Zoom, Google Meet, and Chrome. I agree with that. Actually, what I have been playing with, and I've done it a little bit, is I've been using the NDI app on Windows that converts the NDI to webcam. That's been pretty useful. So I'm looking forward to that. I have not, to answer a question I saw a little bit while back there about whether I got a 3080 or not. I did not. I will at some point get one, but I don't need one just yet. But I will say this much: if I can't run my Star Wars game in VR with my 2080 Ti, then I will get one. That's all that matters right now. Although if what I'm not sure about is when I do go to 4K on all these cameras, if that 1080 in there can handle that for vMix. If it can't, then I'm going to swap stuff around. That's how we're going to go with that. And now there's a 3090, so I'll get the 3090. Why not? But not right now, because I can't get one, because nobody can. I think what happens is they announce all this new technology, but the yields on the chips are so low they can't produce enough. And so all the YouTubers buy them. There's a lot of us now that can buy this stuff, so you gotta feed the beast, as they say. Townman wants to know if I ordered a PS5 or an Xbox, and I have not ordered one of those either. I missed the window yesterday, and I would like to get an Xbox. But part of the thing is with the Xbox is that I have that gaming PC upstairs that's so powerful, and I have it hooked up to my TV already, because I have a big fiber optic HDMI cable. So what I can do with that PC on that TV is already better than the Xbox, and I have the Game Pass already, so I can get that experience right now. But I do like what they're doing with the Series X, so I'm probably going to pick one of those up. David wants to know, am I using BirdDog or NDI? I'm using both. I have a BirdDog 1080 device, which is great. Although right now, something was up with it, and I can't get it to reset the firmware. I got to reach out to them on that. But what I'm using right now are the Connect Spark boxes. I have I have two of the HX Spark boxes, and then I picked up the Spark Plus recently. And this one will do 4K 60 also. So it is a good little box. And I think this is what they include now with the TriCaster. So it's good. I like this one because it can do 4K, and this is not compressed. And typically the HX boxes do fine for just about everything, but if I'm bringing in a game or some of the NVIDIA Shield stuff, I found the uncompressed box does better. So I've been using that. Zam wants to know, Zam, first of all, Zam, thank you for the super chat. And he says, scalpers are buying out all the GPUs. Yeah, that's been a big problem, is the scalpers, because there's such a market for this stuff, they are buying it up. Although I did see one scalper get some justice, or some people got some justice against the scalper, because what happened is the scalper, when they posted the receipt of the machine that they were selling on one of those, services, auction services, the folks who saw the receipt got the order number and they canceled it on a chat. So that guy lost out. So yeah, people see some opportunities. Whenever there's scarcity, there is economic opportunity. And what happened, I'm just trying to see if this is working yet, but it's not. But what happened one year was that, this was bad. eBay was guaranteeing you on these hot items, they were guaranteeing you a result, which I thought was an artificial inflation of the market, because you had no risk as a scalper when they did that. And that was bad, because I think there should be risk if you are scalping, right? And that took all the risk out. They would guarantee that you would get X amount, and it was above retail. It wasn't like you would get your money back. It would be, you would be getting a guaranteed profit, and that's what the marketplace was doing. So I was not a fan of what that was all about. So yeah, so I think I'm gonna probably head out in a minute, folks. I'm just trying to see if I can get this vMix chat thing to work. I have a feeling that in order for this vMix chat to work, I'm going to have to schedule every one of my live streams. That's just another thing that I'd have to do. I may reach out to support on this one and see, because YouTube changed everything again. So now these streams are scheduled, but I can still, so what happens is when I start the stream, it will create the next one. So I think what's happening here is that this is linked up with the next one that I'm going to do, not the one I'm doing now. And that's why it's not showing up. But I tried to connect it to, oh, it just logged me out of YouTube. Let me see if I can log back in. Bear with me, folks. I'm just trying to see if I can get this to work. Because if I can get this to work, it'd be great, because I'm always reading everybody's chats, and some people are watching on Amazon, so they're not seeing what I'm reading and responding to. So I could pull this up so everybody can see what the reference point is. So let me try this again here and see if I can get this to work. But I have a feeling that it's not going to work today, but it might work in the future. Okay, so I'm going to select this one. Let's see if it pulls anything in. So I hope everybody's doing well. I've had a very good week this week. So I've been happy with my productivity this week. So David Shepard said, I thought they all had to be scheduled now, and Stream Now is going away. So Stream Now did go away, but they changed it. And what they did is Stream Now, sorry, I'm just messing around with stuff here again. So the way Stream Now works now, not later, but now, is that it still works the same way. And so when you go into that live streaming dashboard, it will keep your RTSP code static. And you can go in now and set it up just like you did before. So the interface is slightly different, but it's the same concept. So it works like it did before. It wasn't doing that earlier, but now it does. So you can either schedule one, or just if you hit that persistent RTSP key, whatever one you have set up will just queue up and start. And so for me, it's working very similar to how Stream Now worked before. But I'm not able to link this up. What's weird is that it did pull in earlier. It pulled in a bunch of chats, but then it all just went away. So I don't know what's going on with it. Alexandra says hello on the Amazon chat, and she's saying hi like 12 million times. So there you go. Zam says tech never works when you try to show it to people live. Yeah, that's how it usually works with me. And I think this is just based on how vMix Social works versus how I set this up. And I have a feeling, so right now you can't, let me show you what I'm looking at here so you can get a feel for what I'm doing. This has kind of turned into production day, hasn't it? Because we're doing a lot of production unboxings, we're producing videos. So if I go over to this, so this vMix social thing is what grabs the stuff. And if I click on the YouTube thing, I've logged into YouTube, and I have 2 active streams here, but I have a feeling that this is the next, the way this new Stream Now thing works is that when I start streaming now, the one that I set up starts, and then it creates another one immediately. So this will be the next one that I do. So I think the next time we do this, this will work, but right now it won't. And this one is the one I set up on the last time I used the old Stream Now. So that's what, so it sees 2 that are in the queue, but if you don't schedule them, then it doesn't work. And I hate scheduling streams because I never know when I'm going to do one. And what will happen here is that it'll tell me how many chats it's, and when it goes yellow in here, that means the stream is no longer working. Yeah, there it goes. Oh, we're back. Okay. Roger Core says, thank you. I'm in the process of setting up my studio as part of a new business, and I appreciate the insight. Actually, and I'm going to do a full video. I'm just waiting for my stream to come back here. Oh, no. All right, we're back. I just want to make sure it's working on both sides here. Hang on a second. I can't tell you how frustrating it is that this is my life with this stuff. What kills me, this is what kills me, is I've got, now granted I haven't paid for the installation yet, so I'm not complaining, but this problem of the stream constantly cutting out drives me crazy. I have a fiber optic cable right now completely installed. It is done. And all I'm waiting for is them to bring in their equipment and hit the button, and we are up and running. So it's happening, but it's just not hooked up. Like it's hooked up, but it's not provisioned, I guess you could say. So, but in any event, to answer Roger's comment, I'm going to be very shortly doing a video on my workflow, and I'm going to set it up on a laptop so you can see how all of that works. So that is how it's going to go there. And thank you to PYAL for your Super Chat contribution. It's back up and running now, yep, and it will go down again very shortly. So that is the process. So in case you missed it, don't worry, because we are going to have a video of the unboxings we did. We're going to have a video review of this little memory stick. What's great about this thing, these are quick ones to do, and then I have a piece of content that I can have in the hopper for when I have a busy week. So this will be, the review we did of the little stick here will probably show up on YouTube later. It'll be up on Amazon probably tomorrow. Yeah, that's the process. So I am going to, oh, and Zam, to answer your question, the fiber is still here. It's all, actually, you all want to see the fiber? I'll show you the fiber. I have a few minutes here, so let's do that real quick, and then I'm going to go, because I know you all want to see that fiber. So it is here, it's just not hooked up. I think they have to do some more provisioning and whatever else they got to do. And nobody's called me to set it up yet. So let me add my camera back in here, and I will show you the fiber real quick here. So we'll go to the HX camera. And all right, so let's go take a look at my equipment room here, and I will show you the status of the fiber optic connection. So in case you missed it, I did a whole video on this the other day, the entire process. So the fiber, you see that little black cable right there? That is the fiber. And it comes down, he actually did a nice job. He got it all tucked away here. It comes down here, and then it terminates in this thing here. And I can unscrew this and just kind of show you the, and please don't judge my cable management. It's a disaster. Let's see if I can open this up. They may need maybe a key or something for this, but we'll see. Oh, let's see. I'm supposed to contact my local provider for service, but I have no service. I don't think I'm violating anything yet. So the fiber terminates into those little ports in there. So that's where the fiber is. And then they're going to hook up 2 of those to a SFP connector. And that will terminate into my router right there. And then that'll give me 2 gigabits of symmetrical service. And that's what we're waiting on, is that. So as soon as they come in and connect this to their little switch that's going to go underneath it, we're going to run an SFP into that, and we're good. But right now, we're still working on this thing here with the coax cable. So this is how I'm communicating with you right now. And it drops out constantly. And it just doesn't stop dropping out. So that's where it's at. So soon, we will be up and running. And if you're curious, this is what you see when I'm on the air. So I operate everything through this. Pretty cool stuff. So yeah, that is what's going on. All right, so I am going to head out shortly. Yeah, sometimes we get more engagement on the Amazon stream and sometimes not. Believe it or not, I get more viewership on the Amazon streams. And the reason is that this is on Amazon's shopping pages. So if you were to go on Amazon.com and look up, like if you were to look up that SanDisk thing we were just looking at, any one of the products that I feature, the live stream appears on the product page. So as people are browsing the product, they're seeing the live stream. And sometimes they stick around, which is pretty cool. So when we did the Wise thing the other night, and I found too, like the best time to do an Amazon live stream is in the evening, because that's when most people are shopping. So if I started at like around 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern time, we get a ton of traffic for that. So we'll when we do the ones where we've got the coupon deals and stuff, we'll be doing those kind of later on in the evening. We did, like I said, the Wise one did pretty well the other night. So those are the ones that we tend to do later. But one stream I do plan to do, because I am a big Star Wars fan, at least of like, I don't know what I'm a fan of anymore with it. I like the original, obviously, because that was my childhood. And I did kind of like some of the new movies. I love The Mandalorian. I think that's great. And one of the things that I have wanted for a long time is an X-Wing VR game. Now, there is a fan project called Project Stardust, which is awesome. We've done a stream with that before. But now there's a new one, an official one, that comes out on October 2nd, I believe, from Electronic Arts. And we're going to do a live stream of that. VR X-Wing fighters against Star Destroyers. It's going to be awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. So, yep, that is the plan. So we're going to keep messing around with stuff. I'm going to keep working on my production workflow. I'm going to try to figure out this vMix thing. And I suspect that the next stream will work with this, provided I connect vMix social up before it starts. And I think that will work. So that's the plan. And yeah, we got coupons that are active, by the way, during the, not this one, but during some of the Amazon live streams. So what I'll be doing is through the email list, I will email you all when we've got one of those Amazon coupon streams going on. We should have one soon. So be on the lookout for that. And it might be Wise again. I can't remember whether or not they're doing a second one with me. And they don't pay for this with me. Like I get some affiliate revenue. And it's more of an experiment just to see what it works. So what I'd love to do is, is have live streaming be like another leg of the channel. And what would be great about doing regular live streams in the evening is that we could do something where when I come on, there's a deal, right, of some kind. And so it's not going to be like the home shopping club where I'm constantly selling you something. It's just like, hey, if you happen to pop on during this stream, there's a deal. That's kind of how we're going to go with it. So yeah, that's the game plan. So in the meantime, I'm going to say goodbye to the Amazon audience. Thank you all for tuning in. And I want to thank everyone for watching on YouTube. And with any luck, I don't know when exactly the key is being turned on my service, but it's possible the next time you see me, I could be on the new connection. And I'm going to do all sorts of experiments to see what I can push out on that connection. So the plan would be to go 4K on the YouTube stream. The Amazon one won't take 4K. but the plan would be to do some 4K on YouTube, because I can. Why not? So we'll see where it goes. David wants to know if I had any issues streaming with the Dream Machine Pro. I haven't had any issues with the Dream Machine Pro. I'm pretty sure the issues I have are network related and not due to the router, because every router, I've been through like 4 routers over the last 3 years because I go through them constantly. And the UDM Pro has been fine for me. I have found there are some folks out there who've been complaining about the UDM Pro on certain features. So, you know, my experience has been good, but I'm not using it doing all that crazy stuff with it. We'll see what happens when the new connection comes in. Maybe it will create problems. I don't know. So I'll keep you all posted on the performance of it, because we will be using the SFP Plus connection. And somebody said to me that there was some issues with the SFP Plus connection, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. So that is the scoop. So I will keep you all posted. And what's funny is the 4K stream will likely look the same as this one, maybe a little sharper. But what I might do is like take an opportunity to rejigger some stuff. I don't want to redo the whole, I'm not going to turn myself into some fancy production, but I think I can move this camera back a little bit and make it look a little less flat. That's the only thing I want to improve is this shot. So I may mess around with that a little bit. I have another light that I haven't used yet that I could do a little backlight thing. So nothing crazy, just a little touch up, and get a little bokeh going on back there, because it's kind of flat right now, and that's because the camera is so close. But I could move this camera back and maybe get a slightly better image. So that'll be one of the things that we play with. And maybe part of the 4K stream will be messing around with the setup. That might be kind of a fun one to do. So, all right, everybody. I am going to head out, and I will chat with you all soon. It's always great to have you come in and join me for these things. And I stream for longer than I thought I would, but that's always what happens, because it's always great connecting with all of you. So I am going to call it an evening. The next video is already queued up. It's going to go up at 6:45 p.m. this evening in about an hour and 45 minutes. And that one is going to be about multi-gigabit networking again, and how I'm using some inexpensive QNAP multi-gig switches to get the 2 gig signal all over to different parts of my house. So that is tonight's video. So thank you for the kind words, David, and I will see you all very soon. So have a good evening, and thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.